No Obi Wan trailer yet, but we got a first look from Entertainment Weekly, and there was a little bit of other news about Paramount that kind of come out. Andre, good morning.
Yeah,
How
there
you doing?
was.
We'll get into that in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Because I got a button for that. And hello, Culture Casino. Welcome back, my friend.
Yeah. Take a couple days off of YouTube and everything changes. You guys change the carpet, the wallpaper. I don't know. It's crazy in here.
No, it's pretty.
Yeah, and the platform itself is doing new purges and everything. So yeah, good times.
Yeah. Lots of fun. Yeah, I've been. I watched actually a channel that had presented some background material on the Obi Wan series, and they are gone. They were removed from YouTube for deceptive practices.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Now I wish I'd grabbed their video.
So, do you recall what it was about?
No, they were just sharing major plot details and imagery from the set, and
that would have been the deceptive practice.
To share actually stuff that's actually there. Okay,
but anyway. Yeah, but you know how it is, right? Like for instance, the moment like when you have like someone strikes down at it one way or the other. Like for instance, when you have like news which are like fact checked as mostly false, and there's something is true here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like fact checked this way.
Yeah. Mostly false ends up being mostly true.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is.
But it was, I wish I'd have grabbed it, but unfortunately, it was one of the times I was watching YouTube on my phone. So it is what it is.
No, Fat Elvis, they're not changing their name again yet. But I want to wait for a few more people to get in here before we get to that news.
Yeah.
Good morning, kids. How's everybody doing out there? I want to say hello to a few people we got in the chat. We got Natasha. We got Six here, I think. We got that 70s rock fan. DS Ford's here. Marby Dog's here.
I hope we have Corsair Raven here, because he was calling it. The actual stream starts at 11:25 a.m.
You're wrong. We were early. Same thing with Floral. We were early. And actually, Floral sent us a last-minute super chat last night on Midnight Touch After Dark, just as we were ending the show, it looked like, or right after. And he said, did you guys talk about the new Muppets? No, we haven't talked about those yet. I saw a little bit about it, but I just kind of just avoided it.
I heard a little bit about it, and I for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. I just remember someone told me, I think it was Lorena, what was going on.
All I know is it's got a black lady
as the lead. Stupid that my mind instantly blanked it out just to protect me or something.
All I know is there's some strong black woman as a lead, and that's about it.
Wait a minute. Do you know who it is?
No, I wasn't paying attention.
It's Lily Singh. That's right, the unfunny chick that they couldn't even afford to keep her live, talk show thing running.
When are we going to buy the Muppets, Culture?
Tomorrow. I would buy them any moment. Look, if it were something feasible and I knew I could immediately launch a project with it, I would.
I got like 10 ideas for Muppet movies like yesterday.
Okay, well, hey, I mean, you basically could fight some of the, some of the misinformation with Muppets. Wouldn't that be fun?
I'd watch the.
We just need classic Muppet movies. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is so many areas that you can go with the Muppets.
Let's do it.
Like
the Muppets in Les Miserables.
I don't know if I'd go to that point, but
I'd watch that.
I see Echo Base in the chat. I sent you guys a link for this morning. If you're one of you guys are free, I don't know if it's Nick or Coach, but
they did a video already. They already
saw that.
They're already ready already. They already did a video. Yeah.
But I would love to get my hands on the Muppets. We could save them, and we would make so many great Muppet movies. It would be awesome.
You've got incredible talent here in our fellowship. I mean, you have amazing puppet people.
And the potential is limitless. Like my favorite guilty pleasure is Project Shadow Chaser. I mean, I can just see it. Project Muppet Chaser.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, first thing I would do is tell the guy who's doing the Kermit voice, I'd tell him, sorry, but you got to go.
Yeah. Well, how about you're fired?
Yeah, you're fired.
There you go.
And then the next thing I do is I call Frank Oz.
Oh, there you go.
I'd be like, sir, would you please come back and voice the characters that you do, at least voice?
Can't you just tell him you're unfired? I need you.
We need you. And then I would call Steve Whitmore back and go, sorry, you're not doing Kermit, but we do need Rizzo the Rat.
Oh yeah, he is good at Rizzo. Yeah.
Well, he was Rizzo. I mean, he was the original Rizzo. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah. He's been around. I mean, he was part of the group. His original voice, though, his main voice was Rizzo before Kermit. Yeah. Like, that's one of always my favorite bits in the Muppet movie when the Christmas Carol one where he's wiping the window off with Rizzo. He's like, "Thank you for making me a part of this." It's like, I am Charles Dickens. I'm here to tell the story, and I am here for the food.
Oh, so good.
I love Rizzo. He's great. But no, I'd love, basically like Muppet Team America. No, I wouldn't go too adult with them. I would keep them in that
family,
on the edge of PG range that Frank Oz and Jim Henson always kind of, were on that line. Weave in and out. Like the Alice Cooper episode, Corrupted Your Youth, huh? Got our Jedi. Well, that's one upside of
was on Muppet.
Oh, you didn't know that?
On the Muppet Show. No, I saw him like on TV shop selling like golf carts or something.
He even did like "Welcome to My Nightmare" with the Muppets. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was on. I think he was on the first season, if not second season. It was.
I'm gonna have to pull out my discs.
I was gonna say it's one of the few good things that doesn't Disney Plus now have all the rest of the Muppet seasons? We didn't. Yeah, because they didn't release the third and fourth season, I think, on DVD yet. And of course, I think it's the fourth season that has the Luke Skywalker episode, Princess Leia episode, the Star Wars one. Four or five, I can't remember.
I think 4.
I can't remember. Yeah, but I know that's on Disney Plus now. But
I miss the Muppets.
Muppet lives do matter.
They do.
But we're gonna get on with some other news here. It's National Meatball Day, according to Mr. Tickletrunk.
Meatballs.
Is it really?
Meatballs.
Well, everything has a national day, so I wouldn't be surprised. Also, on that note, since we didn't do a show yesterday, we missed one day. And I know it's a day late, but still, I just want to give a special shout out to all the ladies in the chat, because yesterday was the International Women's Day. So just want to say a belated congratulations.
Well, we did bring it up on Mead, but yes.
But I wasn't there.
Yeah, you weren't there. You know what we did cover, though, on Mead that we're probably not going to get into too much because it's really like, okay, kind of news. Florence Pugh is up for the part of the princess in Dune.
Has she not been cast in it already?
It was kind of in
soft announcement,
kind of like that. Like if you actually read all of them, they say she's in heavy talks.
Oh, that basically means it's going to be her, unless they put that out there just to try to squeeze that little extra money out of them, right? But it's basically a done deal. So that means that Florence Pugh is going to be Princess Irulan, previously played by Virginia Madsen in David Lynch's Dune, and I forgot her face in the 2000 sci-fi miniseries. So. Yeah, we can say okay, but also I'm curious to the extent of which you are familiar with Irulan. How excited are you for Florence Pugh taking on that role?
I think she's a good choice. What do you think, Culture?
I think she's a great and very talented actress. So I think she could definitely do a great job at that role. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, at first I said she seemed a little old to me, but then I have to get myself out of the mindset of Black Widow because she's playing a little bit older character there than she really is. And same thing, like Timothée Chalamet is still only a couple of years younger than her, if that. So I think she's a good choice. I mean, even though it's not quite a love triangle, she is set up as, well, she basically, spoilers, kids. She becomes the wife of Timothée Chalamet's character eventually, but it's
a very platonic relationship.
I was just going to say it's an arranged marriage,
yeah, in which she has much time for writing books.
In fact, that's the whole point of the original Dune movie. She's telling the story, and that's kind of what it's supposed to be, or whatever. But yeah, Echo Base says unless she's got scheduling conflicts with the Madonna biopic. I saw she was up for that. Did she actually get it though? I saw she was up against some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah, there are a couple others.
Margot Robbie and who was the other one I saw? I can't remember yet, but no, Florence was kind of like the one I looked at, and I was like, yeah, she probably looks the most like Madonna. But who wants to see that fucking movie? It's just gonna be a movie about her giving a fucking DJ a blowjob so she can get her song played at a dance club.
I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
Some of those biopics are actually really, really good.
That's the true story. You want to know how she got famous?
It's going to be interesting, though. I mean,
also...
from that to all the other ups and downs and everything. I mean, you got to give her credit. She stayed relevant for much, much longer than you would think. Yeah, again, like some of those biopics that you wouldn't expect are really like, for instance, how many of you have heard about Falco? Rocky Amadeus, that guy.
I know that. Yeah, I know it.
Yeah. Like even he has a biopic. And it's actually really good. I'll look you up with it.
As far as Madonna though goes, yeah, I will grant you this, Andre. There was a time when Madonna was one of the greats, but I'm pretty much convinced that the real Madonna is now on that planet that has Tim Burton and the real Michael Jackson on it.
Yeah, that could be. You said that you'll note that I said that she kept herself relevant for much longer than you would expect, meaning past tense, meaning that time is over.
Basically, the moment she had to say "I'm Madonna, bitch" was the moment it was over. If you got to say that, then you're not Madonna anymore, bitch.
Yeah,
No, like she is kind of falling apart. She's like melted now, hasn't she, Culture?
Yeah, look, yeah. There's a very odd look to her. She does look mostly plastic now.
Like she looks like she got too much plastic surgery and then stayed under the hot lights too long.
Yeah, and it's like there's like a sheen to it. Like when you take a match to some plastic and it gets all glossy. Yeah, it's very weird.
Donna's waiting to come back in the Dick Tracy reboot. You know what's sad is fucking like I actually love that movie. She's okay in it, but like.
You love Dick Tracy?
I love Dick Tracy. It's a great movie.
It's a good color palette.
Yeah, I love how it looks.
It's very exciting.
I have said time and time again, that movie deserves a 4K release. That would look beautiful.
It has great visuals. Aside from that,
it's fun.
I have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it.
I watched it recently. It kind of holds up still. Visually, and it's still pretty stunning. No, I didn't say I love Dick. I said I love Dick Tracy. Big difference. Yeah, see, I'm not alone. But speaking of not being alone, we have some other super chats here. Anthony sends in 50 Danish krona. Greetings from Denmark. Well, hello in Denmark. We meet again, my fave boys. Great stuff. Well, thank you, Anthony, from Denmark. We appreciate that.
Yeah, come and loso.
You know what I watched this morning that was funny? I know it's not Danish, but it's I watched Monty Python. You ever seen the skit where they talk about the funniest joke in the world?
It doesn't ring any bell right now.
Okay, this guy writes the funniest joke in the world and he dies. Yeah, he dies. And so then everybody who reads it dies. So like this, it's this long ass skit. It's like a 15-minute skit. And it's amazing because it just goes into this whole like bit of like the government takes the joke and then they try to translate it to German so they can go up against the German. It's this whole fucking thing. It's hilarious. If you never get a chance to see it, Andre, I bet you get a kick out of it.
No, of course. Like I have it all here on Blu-ray. I just have to.
It's actually the first episode. Yeah, it's in the first episode.
Oh, it'll be very used to them. When I see
it's like the last half of the first
couple
episode.
Of Falco albums. That's awesome. Like Falco had some really cool songs.
He only had one hit here that I know of, but yeah, I'm sure he was bigger in other places. I heard he was pretty big.
And honestly, that's one of his weaker songs, in my opinion.
See, that's usually the case, though, when it comes to international stars like that. But yes, thank you for that, Anthony. Then we got Mr. Tickle Drunk in the house who says, here's $10 for the Midnight's Edge Save the Muppets Fund. Please, 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 please.
Wow.
It's not, all joking aside, I have thought about doing some kind of crowdfunding thing, but I have no idea how much Disney would want to have to pry it out of their hands.
Several $100 million, man. I'm telling you, you'd have to come up with a giant check because they paid a pretty penny for that. And
was it really that much?
Well, they monetized it.
It was. So I want to say, Mr. Tickle Trunk, I thank you for the $10.
Yeah.
It's going to take plenty more $10 donations before we can save the Muppets. But I appreciate the sentiment.
$75 million is what they paid. Not that.
That can't be right.
No, that's what it says. I knew it wasn't going to be that much because Disney, they paid $4.05 billion for Star Wars.
Oh well, if that's the case, then $7.5 million,
$75 million,
which is in the ballpark.
Yeah. So we get a couple of those. Yeah. So we can come up with. They're going to want 80 at least. Actually, they probably want a cool billion now.
Yeah, probably. I mean, why sell it a loss?
Well, let's just be safe and get $1 billion, just to be safe, and then that way we got some workaround money in case.
Yeah, exactly. Then we can buy candy for the rest.
Well, we can also finance a movie if we don't spend it all. So there you go.
How much do you think a Muppet movie costs to make? Like,
well, it depends on how much we have left over.
Well, it depends on how many big stars you want in it.
None.
Oh, bullshit. If we're doing a classic Muppet movie, you get all the stars.
Okay, you get a good star.
If we're doing the Muppets and the Count of Monte Cristo, we're getting Henry Cavill.
Oh, okay. He's got a point.
But he might do it for free. He might not cost it.
Can Walton Goggins play the bad guy?
Ooh, that would be awesome.
In everything. I don't give a shit.
Oh, that'd be great.
If there's a Midnight's Edge movie at some point, Walton Goggins is in it. I don't care what role, but some capacity he needs to be in it.
He got so robbed of an Oscar in Hateful Eight.
Oh. Yeah, he did. That was some bullshit. Speaking
of that, we got some news to get to. Thank you for this, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Maybe someday. It's definitely a wish of mine. We got Merlin's Id in the house and says, "Death to the mouse. The mouse must die." We got BK Dan in the house. He says, "Here's money to do the Muppets and the Furious." Oh, so you want like a Fast and the Furious?
Oh, Muppet? That's a nice one. The Muppets and the Furious.
We could do you should really just do like a whole movie of just parodies movies.
Who would Dom be? Wait a minute. Let's cast this real quick. Okay, so let's see.
I have never really seen the movies, so.
Oh man!
Basically, you're going to have Kermit and Fozzie in the two main roles.
Oh wow! Okay, all right. I'm trying to figure out.
If there's a crazy driver, that's Gonzo.
Yeah. Animal and Gonzo.
Animal will be a bad guy.
Gonzo dies in the first film, then.
No, Gonzo can't die.
Okay.
Gonzo never dies.
All right. Well, you're messing up my casting.
I don't care because I've never seen him.
All right, I still think Count of Monte Cristo is a great choice. I mean, the Three Musketeers, easy mode.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just go back and remake all of the amazing literary classics.
Well, that's the thing is I'd like to do a line of them, much like the Treasure Island, Christmas Carol kind of thing. But I also want standard Muppet movies like the Muppet Movie and Great Muppet Caper and Muppets Take Manhattan, right? Like, you got to do those too. And that's where you bring in your stars. But those are all cameos anyway, Andre. So most of them are just people you're asking for a day's worth of work, if that. Yeah, we got to get Mel Brooks to come back.
Yeah, that would be something.
Wow.
That's the only cameo he has.
Production going here.
Do you know that's the only cameo that Mel Brooks has ever said yes to?
No, actually,
he refuses to do cameos otherwise.
Wow. That'd be awesome.
He won't do a cameo. He'll do a starring role. He goes, I'm not important enough to be there as a star. I don't want to be there. But the one time he said yes to a cameo is because it was the Muppets. But we have a guest joining us, and it's perfect timing because we're going to talk about some Star Wars here. We got Nick from Echo Base. How are you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Doing good. Just woke up to a bunch of birthday messages. Turning
happy birthday.
43.
Happy birthday.
43 today.
Oh, nice.
Well, you thought you might have got an Obi Wan trailer for your birthday, but it doesn't seem to have dropped yet.
No, I haven't seen anything. I heard
I'm still the youngest one on this panel. How awesome is that?
Yeah, I was thinking that I might wake up to seeing that the Kenobi trailer dropped because I heard, rumor had it was dropping either today or tomorrow. So if it doesn't drop today,
I was told by multiple sources it was supposed to drop like 90 minutes ago, and it never happened. So
yeah.
But we did get the Entertainment Weekly look at it, which we're going to take a look at here in a little bit. But yeah, so happy birthday, Nick. Welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here.
Yep, glad to be here.
Very happy birthday.
Hopefully, Culture and I didn't burn the house down too bad Saturday.
No, I actually watched the entire stream that night, and you guys had me rolling. You guys did great. Absolutely loved it.
All right.
All kidding aside, like after that show, I don't know how many requests for us to do The Odd Couple.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'd be great at it.
I think we should.
Yeah.
I even suggested that we should do the original play, and then we should do some selected episodes of The Odd Couple.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yep. Yeah, we're actually going to be doing. We're actually going to probably be talking a lot about this on our channel tonight. We're going to do a birthday stream / news update stream tonight on our channel, probably around 7 or 8 or sometime.
Well, we'll see if the trailer drops. In the meantime, I'm keeping an eye out just to see if it does, but nothing yet. So we're going to get to this Obi-Wan business here shortly. We got a couple more super chats we want to get to in the meantime first, so don't get too far behind. Spider Unlimited says, Andre, race gender swapped a Viking? Yeah, this has been.
I think I'm going to have to do a video on this.
I think you are. Yeah.
Detailing who the real Jarl that is being gender and race swapped. And with that, any kind of like historical accuracy the series might have had just went out the window. So yeah, keep going. I'll do a video on it. I mean, everyone
you're gonna have to watch a little bit of it at least just to kind of see. But
I think probably, but I like we'll see what they have done here. But I know the real story, at least of to the extent of which it is possible to know, because the Norwegian Vikings, they weren't too hot on writing records. So the Swedish Vikings were actually much better at that. So yeah, we only know so much, but we know a little bit, and I'll go through that in a video.
And to answer Darius here, I would obviously be Oscar. That's a given. I hate it when Culture leaves little notes on my pillows. I hate little notes on my pillows.
But I usually leave a little chocolate there too.
We're out of cornflakes. F you. It took me 4.5 hours to figure out that F you meant Felix Unger. I can't take it anymore.
I usually just leave little chocolates there for you, though.
You clean that up. I will not.
Here's the thing: if you finish the milk, don't put the empty container back in the refrigerator.
See, this is why it's going to work. Anyway, thank you for that, Spider Unlimited. I think with all the talk of the Viking thing, Andre's definitely going to have to do something about that.
Absolutely.
Floral from Under a Rock is here and says, if you guys want to do a short movie, if we get someone who wants to edit, I can green screen parts, serious, family friendly, all the way. Well, obviously, if we get the hold of the Muppets, you are somebody who has some puppet
skills,
experience, and skills. So we'll definitely be one of the first people we call, besides Snowdub and a few of the other gang. Who Dares Win says, watch The Last Kingdom season 5 just came out. I've not seen The Last Kingdom.
I haven't either.
What channel is this on? Is this on?
I think it's Netflix, but I haven't. I've been told to watch it. I haven't had an opportunity. I'm running out of time in my day to do anything other than what I do. But
yeah, it is on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's a British television series. I've honestly never even heard of it.
I think I've heard of it, but yeah. You know what's funny, Wolf, is Quentin Tarantino was actually in a Muppet movie. He was in Muppet Wizard of Oz. He was the best part of that crappy movie. And that's it is the worst Muppet movie ever. It was a Disney made straight for TV movie. Yeah.
I would like to see him if they're doing a new Muppet show, have him bring Tim Rose back.
They are doing one, but I don't know much about it. They just announced it the other day. We'll probably get to it later. That's where the talk came from to begin with. And then Master Clockwork, says, fuck Lego Star Wars, give me Muppet Star Wars.
You know, the problem with that is it probably would be right up there with the best of Star Wars movies. Especially given the state of Star Wars right now. Kind of like Lego Batman. I mean, if you've seen it, it's up there with the best of Batman movies. It's easy to ignore it, but it really kind of is.
We already know what Muppet Star Wars was be. There's that famous Muppet Baby episode. Animal Raider.
I loved that episode. I remember getting up early in the mornings as a
Skeeter
kid.
and Scooter were R2D2 and 3PO.
Yep. And every time that episode would come on, I would be glued to it, and then I would just end up waiting for it to come back on, and then hurry and pop in a blank tape, racing around trying to find a video cassette with some room on it, put it in there and record it.
Muppet Babies was pretty good. The original, that new crap they got now. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I've seen some of that shit. Oh jeez. But thank you for that Master Clockwork, and then we got Super sticker from Darius Munchausen. I'm betting it's popcorn. I don't know if we're gonna need it too much this morning. We might if we get an Obi Wan Kenobi trailer. We'll see. Blue Eyed Roof Korean, the based is in the house, Andre, and he sends in $5 and says, "So many descendants of great Henson letting legacies become tainted. Let Madonna play herself." Well, she does play with herself a lot, so might as well. Have people see the decline of the elites over time. Yeah, I don't think they'd make that mistake.
I'd be all for her bookending it though, but here's like the thing, like honestly, her decline isn't that much worse than most other people's decline. I mean, certainly not in Hollywood, because it's easy to talk about her looks, but keep in mind that in Hollywood they're so deathly afraid of wrinkles. They'd rather look like the Joker, which is something that she's like done for a little while there. So there's like that aspect to it. But as for the first part, that so many descendants of greats letting legacies become tainted. Yeah, this is a sad state of affairs, but that unfortunately is how it is. I mean, just look at Tolkien. Tolkien's son, Christopher Tolkien. He did amazing protecting his father's legacy. But after that, who's left there now of the estate of Tolkien's descendants? I mean, his daughter, she died earlier this week, I think. She was like in her 90s. And then it's like grandchildren and grandnephews and nieces and stuff. And what we heard from Gary is that like most of those people are trust fund children. They don't care.
Yeah.
To them, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, that's just like their personal cash point. That's all. As long as it keeps paying their bills and their luxury lifestyles, that's all they care about. And unfortunately, that is very often the way. Not all relatives have the passion to protect the integrity of what is behind the family fortune, as long as it's there. Sad state of affairs, but we see it way too often.
Yeah. And Dr. Dragon says he changed his name because I suggested it. Trust me, you're going to feel so much cooler as Dr. Dragon than Mr. Dragon. It's going to be you're going to get so much pussy now.
Oh, so that's Mr. Dragon? He just changed it to Doctor?
I told him to doctor. You should be a doctor, sir.
Oh, okay. All right.
Dr. Dragon just sounds awesome.
Yeah, because I know who Mr. Dragon is. And
it's Mr. Dragon. He just changed his name. Yep. He is now the doctor. Dr. Dragon. That's right. Awesome sauce. All right. Then we got Blue Eye, the Roof Korean again. Oh, that's the same one we just read, but thank you so much for that. And then we got Magnetic Mags. Says, Hail Andre Tom, Culture Casino, and fellow wrenches, and awesome chat. Can't wait to get into this discussion. Well, we're about to here real shortly.
Hello,
Das
Mags.
Wolfen. What was that?
I was just saying hello, Mags.
Oh, hello. Hail panel, wrenches, and chat, share, subscribe. Yes, please share the link. Lord knows YouTube doesn't like to help that at all. And they've been really trying to keep us all down lately. So do your best to help us out. We appreciate that very much. And speaking of someone who supports us, Steven, a.k.a. Deleted Scenes, is in the house and says, Hail, Midnight's Edge, Culture, Casino, Mods, and Chat. Thank you for being here, Deleted Scenes. Hey, we got Snowdub, as I mentioned earlier. Jolly as the Jason Stratham character. Okay. I guess we could officially make Jolly one of the Muppets, but he'd have to clean his act up. No more hookers and
he'd
blow.
have to shave.
Well, he just has to groom it up a little. He doesn't necessarily need to shave.
No more hookers and blow. Olaf Van S says, Midnight's Edge Andre, did you hear last year they would make a movie of Genie? Are you talking about I Dream of Genie?
No, I would imagine that Olaf van Ness, being a good European, is familiar with Falco. And he's probably referring to someone making a movie of the Falco song Genie Part 1, as it were. And for those that haven't heard it, if you go check it out on YouTube, then one thing you'll know that it's one of my all-time favorite songs, so it's worth checking out just for that. I mean, if I had a top 10 list of favorite songs, then it's somewhere in the top 10. Somewhere in the top 10. Not the original version, but the American edit of it. That's brilliant. Anyway, it's a song about a psycho stalker who kidnaps a 19-year-old, and this is Genie. And I have not heard those news. That was something that was in talks. But now that I'm aware of it, I'd love to see that. Yeah, absolutely, bring it on. Austrians, do better. Preserve the legacy of Falco.
Rock me Amadeus.
Make a Rock Me Amadeus movie too.
My cheese bro hates me. Well, guess what? I love you, my cheese bro. In fact, I want to have your cheese baby. With that, we also have another one from Roof Korea in the base who says, since CC is on, meaning Culture Casino, is it possible for for a corporation to devalue an IP or franchise to the point of worthlessness? How can their justifications be countered?
Wow, it is possible for them to do that. I would actually defer to Andre in this. It just how far down can you drive a quality IP, something that is fan beloved? How far down can it go, Andre?
Well, it depends on what you started out with.
Okay.
If it is something that was once like a AAA IP, meaning something that was big in more than just one media, if we were to go by that definition, I think the biggest thing, you can't really do much more to make it completely worthless than wait so long that the entire fan base dies and no one cares anymore. I mean, if you go back to like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there were so many things then that were like huge things. Like the Bob Hope show. That's just like one that comes to mind, right?
Right.
And this is something that now today has zero imprint. And most people below the age of 50 haven't even heard about Bob Hope.
Right.
And I'm sure there are
or better yet,
other
Howdy
examples
Doody
like
is probably
that.
a better example, but yeah.
Or Howdy Doody,
go.
Here Comes the Grumps, or something like that. I mean, these are things that may have been popular at one point, but I think that
you could probably get them for a steal now, yeah.
Exactly. Like the biggest mistake that you can do is just allowing it to sink into oblivion, because that is the one surefire way to make something that was once $1 million or even $1 billion property and let it sink down into nothingness, to be completely worthless.
Yeah.
For something that was like big 5-10 years ago, I don't think there is any way you can make it completely worthless. If it was a AAA, you can't make it completely worthless within one generation. It can be worth a fraction of what it was,
right?
But there's going to be some there that's willing to pay something for it. If it has like a brand, then that's all it needs to possibly conceivably be brought back. I mean, for instance, Jason the Wheeled Warriors, failed toy line of the 80s. It's not going to be worth a lot of money, but it's going to be worth some. Just for releasing the DVD rights, just for that, it's going to be worth some, and it's something that potentially could be brought back with the right thing. So, something that has been big enough inside of one generation, I don't think can be made completely worthless. But I see culture is disagreeing.
No. I wanted to add a nuance to that. So would you postulate that maybe Star Trek has more than halved its value over the last decade?
Star Trek right now is no longer $1 billion.
Well, you have here's the difference.
I've been saying this for ages, actually. Star Trek right now is not worth $1 billion.
They
Yeah,
would
no
still
way.
ask for it, and they would probably get it though. That's the difference. Here's the thing: is it's a more
Who's going
nuanced
to pay
thing.
$1 billion for it?
You never know, because here's the thing: is not only do you get the property, you get all the past Star Trek. See, that's the thing. That's what makes Star Trek valuable, right? It's not just the IP itself.
But how do you, as a new owner, monetize classic Star Trek?
Well, I can tell you right off the bat. First things first, you update DS9 and Voyager, get
Right.
those out there, make some money back that way.
Yeah.
Do what they're doing now with Playmates, get some classic fucking toy lines out, monetize the shit out of classic Trek while you work.
There's
on
a
getting some new
problem with that though, because remember, the updating of Next Generation wasn't financially successful enough that they decided to carry on and do the same thing with Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
They are going to do something now, but I think it has more to do with Paramount Plus.
Probably just upscaling with AI.
It could very well be, but here's the thing: is they did do okay, but they also they shot themselves in the foot in two ways, and that was A, by releasing them season by season instead of doing an entire box set, and because a lot of people were just waiting for an entire box set, and B, at the same time they went and put them on every single fucking streaming service there was. So like at any given time, you could even go to CBS.com and watch every episode of Star Trek at one point.
Yeah.
So they made it too accessible. That was the first thing, is they made it too accessible. And the second thing I would do is, while you're doing all that, I would make sure you're getting everybody on board to realize we're going back to classic Trek. I would dust off that con script from Nicholas Meyer, and that would be like the first thing I would do, is get that dusted off and do something like that, just to get everybody to know we're going back to the classic Trek stuff.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
But I know what you're saying.
I would add one more thing to it, and that is to understand that it's Star Trek. This is not Star Wars.
I get you.
A huge, big blockbuster thing. This is a mid-budget thing. And if you were to invest $1 billion in it, do you know how much time it would take you to earn that money back again? On something that
it would take you a little bit, but it's
not going to take a little bit. It's going to take decades.
Well, here's the difference.
It's not worth it.
Here's the difference, and I'm going to give you an example. Star Wars got so much goodwill going into The Force Awakens because people thought they were going to reinvigorate the franchise. Most people will give you a shot as long as they know you're going to try something new or take it back to, what it was supposed to be originally. That's one thing. But my point was, I was going to get to
I agree with
is that. IPs are not like, say, because we had all these internet companies and these startup fucking like MP3 companies and all this shit that ended up selling for like a quarter of the value that they were even worth originally, because they became obsolete over time. These kind of IPs aren't like that. I agree with you 110% on a fact, like something like Howdy Doody, or one of these things that they kept out of the public eye was worth anything. But look at like Gumby, how much that shit just sold for. And Gumby they ain't done shit with Gumby in years. What Gumby has though is marketability, and he has a classic catalog of stuff. Right. See, same thing with like He-Man and all these kind of characters where, they can have a resurgence as long as you do it right. Elf, I can see Shout doing the same thing. They're making a deal with Elf.
And I agree.
But he's been dormant now for almost 20 fucking years.
Yeah. I'm 100% agreement on all of those things. But what I would also like to add to it is that it's a matter of budget and estimating the size of the audience. Toyland's licensing alone will make $1 billion. I'm not that. I mean, yeah, like if you're Star Wars, if you are, well, not Star Wars anymore, but if you are something that has a huge, big budget movie coming out and everyone and their mother wants to do something with it, then yeah, you're going to make $1 billion. Not that fast, but it's going to happen. But I think that Star Trek right now is too niche. It's too collectors, which means that it's still going to be very profitable at the right price point. But I submit that $1 billion is too high a price point.
I honestly, here's the thing. We're going to get into this in a little bit because of another story. If, let's just say for the sake of argument, that Paramount were to decide we're going to sell Star Trek, I guarantee you it don't sell for no less than 1.5 to 2
Oh
billion.
no, I agree. They're going to ask that, but I'm not really so concerned with what they ask. Who is going to buy it, and what do they intend to do with it, and when do they expect a profit?
I could see Warner doing something with it, but they got enough shit they wouldn't worry about it. But anyhow,
Yeah, I can also see the stupid people currently at Warner doing that. Absolutely. But what I mean is that I don't see that the accountants and number breakers are going to give any kind of a thumbs up to Star Trek for more than $1 billion. Like the highest I can see it is 800 million. And those 200 million gap between 800 million and 1 billion, that's a lot of money.
But you got a lot of Star Trek. You got a huge catalog of Star Trek.
Yes, you do have a huge catalog. And as you pointed out, it's available everywhere. It's the easiest thing to get to in the world, which is why I mean that you have limited opportunities to monetize it for a new corporate owner because it's out there already. And the biggest earners would be the original series and the Next Generation, both of which have been remastered to oblivion. They're available on all channels all over the world. Everybody has seen them, which is good and well, but that's not a great starting point for someone trying to monetize them by re-licensing them anew. Like, it's not that.
Well, let's just go off of what we just talked about here. The Muppets sold for 75 million. Okay, how in the world are the Muppets even remotely worth as much as Star Trek? And I'm not going to argue that Eisner didn't pay for them a little bit, but
more. Because, like, I'm not saying that Star Trek is worth 75 billion. I'm saying it's worth 800 million. But I'm just saying it's worth less than $1 billion.
Yeah, I get you there. I get you there. But
and especially also if you just consider Star Trek right now, it is something that has failed on the big screen. It has failed on the small screen. What you have as a selling point is everything pre-2005. That's your selling point. It's the nostalgia for what was in the past and trying to bring that again after the past 15 years have essentially completely ruined the brand. Look at the excitement for Picard right now. That should have been a big gun, and no one cares. And the only one reviewing it, they are either hate watching or do so out of sheer obligation.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was even out yet.
Billion property. Nick, you were saying?
I was just saying I didn't even know Picard had even come out yet.
Yeah, there you go.
Until I saw Gary Doomcock and Robert Meyer Burnett's posts on it. I was like, oh, is that out? Like, I saw nothing on it.
Can you okay, so I'm on board with Andre. I think that Star Trek's pretty tarnished, and you'd have to know what the expiring deals were for all the streaming locations that it's licensed to across the globe. There's a lot of problems. I agree with Tom in the sense that you could definitely make some money from proper merch from the older stuff, but I'd be hard pressed to say it's worth $650 million.
Thank you. I mean, when I say 800, I'm being generous. I mean, that's like at the maximum. Like, that's the equivalent of Disney offering 4.05 billion for Lucasfilm, because initially they wanted to give 3.8, but Lucas insisted on more than Marvel, which is why we got the 4.05.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Disney overpaid $205 million.
You've got 10 plus Star Trek movies, and 3 of the last ones have made, 500 plus million each, right? So they're going to factor all that shit into the
exactly. They're going to factor in that the most recent Star Trek movie was one of the biggest flops in film history, because that's exactly what it was. And I liked Beyond. But the fact remains, it lost more than 100, or in the vicinity of $100 million. That makes it one of the all-time box office losers. The other two before that, they did kind of like the same thing. The biggest thing that you can say is that the international numbers increased from 09 to Into Darkness, but still, they didn't do that great. And before then, when you have the Star Trek Nemesis, that was a massive flop, even at a relatively small budget. So after hearing Culture, I'm going to revise my number down. I'm going to say it's worth 700 million.
I would make an argument the other way, because looking at the numbers, it was more the budget was the problem, because Beyond didn't make that much less than the first Star Trek. Because looking at the numbers here, Star Trek 09 made 385, Into Darkness made 467, and Beyond made 343.
Yeah, so, and none of this is really that amazing box office.
I'm not saying it is, but this is also 10 years ago almost too, except for Beyond. But
yeah, and if you were to drop a Star Trek movie right now, how much would it done?
Probably around that.
Exactly. And something,
but that's the average, and that's what Emma Watts was trying to say, though.
That's a property that's not worth $1 billion.
All right.
Well, let's even if we take this back to the Muppets, right? When they originally sold, the first time the Muppets sold, they were basically at EM.TV. They had acquired Kermit and everybody for $680 million. They immediately 3 years later had to sell it back to the Henson family, the kids, for $78 million because they ran into so much financial trouble with the Muppets. Then they turned around and sold them a year later, or a few years later, to Disney, obviously, which the estimated price at that time was $200 million. How many projects did Disney put together after they produced or after they acquired the rights to use the Muppets? You know, and I don't know. The Muppets may not be worth as much as we think they're worth. It's hard to say.
Well, that initial sale was the original thing. It was just the fact that, yeah, it went back and forth, and then Henson really wanted them to go to Disney was the deal.
Well, but he was already passed when they.
I know, but that was like it was like some kind of promise that
the kids
had made to him or whatever. Yeah.
All right, but I look at it. But I look at it this way. I'm like, Disney's done almost nothing with them. Very little. I mean, the Jason movie was like, was acceptable, but a lot of people just didn't get into it. Man, and Disney's done nothing but limit their appeal. They produced a couple of attractions, one of which they dismantled. I think there's only one left that's based on the Muppets now. I don't know, but I'd love to. I would love to acquire the Muppets. I just don't think it's. I think it would be easier to create new puppets with the same kind of gimmicks. That it would be a little easier to manage. But hey, just my opinion.
Yeah, they've devalued them quite a bit, but not to the point where I don't think they'd ask for less than $100 million for them. Is my point to begin with. Which got us all down this road anyway.
No, that I agree with.
But the Star Trek topic will come up again a little later.
It's coming.
We got some Obi Wan Kenobi to talk about while we got Nick here.
I do want to say one quick thing about the Star Trek stuff, and as far as the toys go, if they would come out with like a high quality, so almost sort of like the Black Series type quality of old Star Trek figures, like from DS9, Next Generation, the original series, and come out with like the vehicles like that those figures can fit in, like the Defiant or something. Yeah, it'd probably be expensive, but I would totally buy that stuff, if they came out with as far as all the new stuff that they're putting out there, the new Picard, like that stuff could stay on the shelves all day.
All right. And yeah, we are getting actually Playmates putting out quite a bit of toys now.
And I would love for them to actually go through whatever process they got to go through to make a high quality DS9. But I know the story behind that and why it hasn't happened and how it would be hard for them to do it. But I mean, with today's technology, I mean, I don't know if it would be easier for them with the technology they got today or not. But I would love, because I'm taking Coach through Deep Space Nine for the first time over on our second channel, Echo Base TV, and so he's never seen it, and I wish that we had like 1080 or even 4K copies of the episodes. But that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, don't blame me for wanting that. Not at all.
Well, I'm on board with the toys, but I mean, if you're going to do high quality end, but again, that's an easy discussion. I like the high end stuff because the low end stuff looks like, you know, the rejects from oh gosh, what was that terrible toy company that doesn't exist anymore? Tomco. But yeah, I would love to have some of the original characters in high quality. I'd love to have me a really awesome, you know, 6 scale Kirk. You know, that'd be awesome. Would be.
So, let's get into this Obi Wan Kenobi business. We were expecting a trailer this morning, but we haven't got it yet. Not yet. But what we do have is Entertainment Weekly has put out a cover showing a new look at Obi Wan Kenobi, and we also have some images we can get to here. Let me see if I can make them bigger for everybody. We'll start there. There we go. He's Obi Wan.
So, I don't know if any of you guys thought this when you first saw these images, but I was like, I think he needs a little bit more gray in that beard and hair, considering the time frame that this happens in.
17 years later.
Yeah. I'm going to say right up front, I think once we get into these pictures, there are some possible spoilers, so keep that in mind, kids. Not like horribly, but somewhat. But if you've been keeping up with it, you probably already knew this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then here's another look at a new character. This is the Force-sensitive Inquisitor. There you go. Don't everybody comment at once.
Stunning and brave.
Yeah.
Bravely stunning.
Yeah.
I don't really have any strong feelings on this. I hope the series is going to be good, and these pictures are. What can you really say on them? They look fine, I guess.
He's just sitting in a fucking cave.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Looking like Jesus.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that in live action. Him sitting still in the cave, looking straight forward, feeling like Jesus. That's going to be amazing.
Why is he just sitting in an empty cave? Unless this is picking up right after the episode.
Well, Bounding into Comics actually did a story earlier today, which may give some kind of indication of his mindset.
Well, please fill us in on the basics, because I didn't read it.
Well, the basics, and again, this is courtesy of Bounding into Comics, is that this series, at the very least, is going to start out with an Obi Wan Kenobi, which is kind of a little bit like how Luke Skywalker was in The Last Jedi. He's going to be bitter, a little bit defeated, depressed, sad. Everything is awesome. He just wants nothing is awesome. Everything sucks, and he just wants to, die and just give up on everything. But apparently, is where he is at when the whole thing starts. And I don't think I've ever been less excited for this series than I became after reading that article.
I would think he would be the opposite, considering.
This picture kind of looks like someone who's a little bit sad, depressed, sitting in the cave, just waiting to die.
I mean, I understand sad and depressed, but I would not think this whole thing like he would give. I mean, I think he'd be glad that he's still alive. He's one of the last hopes for the Jedi. I would think he would be
the protector of Luke.
Yeah.
He's got a job to do.
I mean, that he should be sitting in the cage, and waiting to die, given all the importance that he has. So, yeah.
Yeah, that cave shot, when I first saw that, reminded me of a set piece from TNG.
Yeah, it does look kind of chintzy.
So I wonder if this Inquisitor is going to have, I guess, no helmet.
Evidently not.
It's hard to get your face out there if it's behind a helmet.
Yeah. There's one of the creatures that farted in Jar Jar's face.
Yep.
In episode 1.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he riding one at the end of episode 3? And here's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
possible
yeah.
spoiler, because as we see here, for those who may not have been aware, that Owen is back, folks. Owen is back.
Yeah, I'm curious about this interaction here and why they would be having any interaction whatsoever.
Well, I did posit that one way that this works, and then this is if you're smart anyway, considering, you know, a lot of us have said all the years, why would you just hide Luke and then keep the name Skywalker? Well, I suggested that maybe the series would be about somebody being like the Inquisitor or whoever would be coming after the possible offspring of Darth Vader. And basically, that's one of the reasons why Owen is not a big fan of Obi Wan Kenobi, because he basically is like, you're bringing nothing but trouble to this kid's life, and something happens between this series and the whatever that basically throws them off of Luke's scent, is what I'm thinking. But the rumors we've heard is it has more to do with Leia, so your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Yeah,
that was me just positing. Now I know what we've heard otherwise. So
yeah, and of course we got, which I know they're keeping it under wraps. If Leia is actually involved in the show at all, they wouldn't show any pictures from that. But everything we got looks like it all pretty much comes from. It appears to be on Tatooine.
Yeah. So then moving on here, we got
they already have the sets. I mean, they can. It's really practical for Galaxy's Edge, so why wouldn't it be there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a side view of Obi.
Yeah, it's hard for me to tell. Like, where is he on a ship? There,
it doesn't look too cheerful.
Yeah.
And that's it, kids. That's what we got. It looks like that was it.
Wow.
So, what's your
Well, when I saw, I looked at him right before we came on, or right before I came on here, and you know, it just basically there's not really a whole lot to him. It really doesn't tell you much of anything, you know. Of course, other than we see the Inquisitor, so we know what the Inquisitor will look like. We officially know what Obi-Wan will actually look like. I figured that this would be followed up with a trailer, which would kind of make sense to me, which I guess could still happen at some point in time today.
Well, they are having a shareholder thing. According to Michael Miller, the shareholders were just shown it, so I don't know what the deal is yet. But
maybe they saw it and was like, "Oh God, this is terrible. You can't drop this." Cancel the trailer release.
Well, unfortunately, when they sunk so much money into it, they're going to drop it anyway, whether it be terrible or not. I mean, just look at Book of Boba Fett. For anyone doubting.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example because that show is not very good.
Well, the funny thing is I wasn't too worried about Book of Boba Fett. I was more worried about this. Now I'm really worried about this.
Yeah, this is the one that I've always said has the most potential to get the most backlash. I mean, Book of Boba Fett, people are like, this is dumb, you know, but there wasn't that backlash you got with what you got when people saw what they did with Luke in the sequel trilogy. They could get hammered if they screw this up. Like this is the one thing that they got coming out this year that they literally cannot screw up. Like they got to grand slam this thing out of the stadium. This has got to be a hit because if it's not, they're probably going to get a lot of backlash, like way more than they could have ever gotten with anything in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's this is the equivalent of Picard for them, isn't it? The one thing that can do some real damage.
That's kind of what I was saying. Yeah. I said, you know, Book of Boba Fett was one thing. Mandalorian was the one thing. This is the thing that we'll get to finally see. Speaking of how damaged a franchise can be, this show is going to give us basically what we need to know on how bad Star Wars has been damaged. Because if this show fails to bring in an audience and or turns off what's left of the audience, then that's it.
Yeah.
If this show plays out as bad as Book of Boba Fett did, then it's done. Because that's kind of what happened to Picard, right? Like the first season came out, they started off strong with like 4.5 million viewers, I think it was. And then by the end of the show, they had half of that. I haven't seen any numbers for the new show, but as you said, Nick, like nobody's talking about it. So chances are nobody's watching it. I mean, I don't know how much CBS has gotten behind it because there's this whole convoluted thing with, they tried to play off this whole thing like they went and bought Discovery back when that's not true. Because if they really wanted to bring Star Trek home, then why didn't they go get Picard too? Well, no, that's because Amazon was still paying for it. That's why. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. No, I agree with you guys 110%. This is the make or break it point for Star Wars right now. If this don't work, we're done. Like they might as well just say fuck it from here on out and just make cartoons because it's a done franchise.
Yeah, like I said, this show has me really worried and concerned. And it's the one that's giving me the most concern out of anything that they announce. Because like I said, I mean, you can't screw this up. And one of the things that a lot of people are kind of going back and forth on out there and having discussions on as far as the show goes and what's going to happen with the story here is the continuity. Is Obi-Wan going to go off world? People are like, if he goes off world, then the show's dead. He needs to be staying on Tatooine. There's arguments there. Then you got apparently Obi-Wan and Vader fighting again, which people are divided on. So I think it's going to draw a pretty good audience when it drops. But if it starts breaking that continuity and not making sense to what's already come before it, I think people are going to start dropping off and be like, I'm done with this, because it's like what, six or seven episodes, or did you guys know? Did we get something?
I think it's 6 episodes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
6 episodes it should be.
Yeah. So, every single one they got to keep people interested in this thing. Yeah. And I just don't, honestly, I just don't got a whole lot of faith in anything Disney's doing. I hope it's like I'm still holding out some bit of hope, that they give us something that I'm like, wow, they did such a good job on that. But until I get that, I'm constantly always concerned with anything that they do.
Yeah, here's my problem with this is the first red flag was, they announced it and they're like, oh, we got all these scripts done and Ewan McGregor's coming back. Kathleen Kennedy did that famous announcement. And then right after Mandalorian comes out, they're like, oh, we have to go back and rewrite Obi Wan Kenobi because nobody noticed it was so similar to Mandalorian. I mean, I would have understood that if it was before Mandalorian came out. Yeah. But that just tells me the right people didn't read the scripts. And if that's the case, okay, so then that makes me even wonder even more what the fuck they came up with. Because chances are whatever they had initially was probably, I'm willing to bet, off of whatever, because Lucas had talked about doing something like this a while back. Like Obi Wan Kenobi movie, a Boba Fett movie have been projects that George Lucas has talked about a few times. So they may have had some notes from him on what this could be. And I don't know if they use those at all. I doubt it. But if they did, that's possible because chances are it probably was what I said it before. And they're like, oh shit, this is a lot like Mandalorian. You got Obi Wan Kenobi protecting Luke as a kid. That's a lot like Mandalorian. We got to change that. So that's probably what happened. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, I have very little faith in this. I mean, they could pull it off, but I mean, after Boba Fett, I'm even more scared than I was before because I had 0 F's to give about Boba Fett, and I wasn't worried about Boba Fett until I saw it. And then I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, well, so
actually, Boba Fett is one of the. Oh yeah, Boba Fett. Yeah, Yeah, no, I agree with you. I have had no worries about Boba Fett. This is the one that I was worried about. This is the one, because it's been like so many issues with this one. Remember, like how it was completely rewritten in the last moment.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Noticed. Yeah. So, yeah.
And the thing is, the rewrites of that was a rewrite because they're like, man, this isn't good. You know, and did they end up just making it worse? And in their minds, they thought they were making it better. Or like I would just be curious to be a fly on the wall in those rooms, you know, to see what they had in mind and what they've changed and why they're changing it. And if the people involved even know anything about Star Wars. Because after watching Book of Boba Fett, I'm like, did the people involved here even watch Star Wars? It just really has me questioning that.
Book of Boba Fett was just weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're going to be on Tatooine here. So are we going to see Black Chrysanthemum in Obi-Wan? Are we going to see the freaking Power Ranger Vespa gang riding through the streets?
Technically, we shouldn't be considering it's like a 30-year difference, but
exactly. Yeah. And I don't think we're ever going to see them again, ever, under any circumstance, because I think they realized that, that wasn't a good idea.
But Black Chrysanthemum, I'm guessing he would be alive during this time period. I mean,
maybe, but that's another point. This is the first thing we've gotten now that's not in that era of Mandalorian. So, and this also has, as far as I know, little or nothing to do with Filoni and Favreau. So that's another reason I'm kind of worried to a point. But then again, I mean,
the only thing that that gives me any bit of hope is that Deborah Chow's involved, and I liked what she did in Mandalorian.
Well, she was supposedly directed this whole thing, right?
Yep. So, and I really liked the episode that she directed. So, the fact that she's involved, I was like, okay, this could actually be good. But I was also happy with the episode Robert Rodriguez did, and he did most of the episodes in Book of Boba Fett, which was terrible. And now everybody's like, all right, Robert Rodriguez needs to just stay away from Star Wars. You
know, I'm not going to make excuses for him, but I'm going to say he should get a mulligan. I'm going to give him a Ron Howard, right? I'm going to say it wasn't his fault. Unless somebody tells me otherwise, or he says, yeah, I wrote it all, or I had all these ideas and which he didn't because Favreau wrote it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm going to give him a mulligan on that because I think that he was basically given outlines like he was for that episode, and he had very little to work with on top of during the pandemic. Like, so he was stuck trying to basically fill out this story treatment that Favreau probably handed him on top of working with limited crew and cast. So I'm going to give him a pass on that part. I'm not going to blame him. I'll put more of the blame on Favreau and Disney.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm going to be more excited for the next thing that Robert Rodriguez is going to do. Because even though I agree this wasn't his fault, there are too many. This was a kitchen in which there were too many chefs. But still, I think he's going to feel the disappointment that was with this, and he's going to work extra hard on making the next thing he does something truly special. So,
I think he mainly did it just to get his deal for a Alita sequel.
Yeah,
that could very well be.
I think so.
Yeah, he was in so many boxes. It's a conversation that I've had multiple times, just being inside of all of the boxes that you're in when you're working at Disney. I mean, look at, Disney's dealing with their annual shareholders meetings right now. You are in such a number of boxes. If you work at Disney, you're inside of, the current global issues that we deal with. You're inside of, the political issues that are within that. You're inside a company that's been driven by political issues. And then within that, you're inside of Lucasfilm, which is driven by its own agenda and political, issues. And then, of course, now you're making a show within all of those different structures. It's a mess. And,
Well,
yeah.
let's get to some super chats here, because speaking of messes, we got another story to get to that's pretty big here this morning. Well, I don't know if it's big, but it's big enough. Trav101 says, thoughts on Daily Wire premiering movies on YouTube? Why not? Hey,
I think it shows that they're just out there to make good quality entertainment. The entertainment will speak for itself. The viewers will generate revenue. Revenue will, drive future projects.
It's a monetized platform. Fuck it.
Yeah, and I also hope that it's going to inspire others, because kudos to the Daily Wire. They are fighting back. And I have to say, one thing I really appreciate with their movies are not propaganda movies. Because here's the thing, when a platform that is openly conservative start making movies, then it would be very tempting to think that they would make movies with an overt conservative message. But they haven't. They've just made sheer entertaining, thrilling movies that, if anything, have a humanist subtext that deal with the human experience. That's what they're doing. That's what all movies should be doing. They are just void of overt communist propaganda. So kudos to them, and I hope others will be inspired and repeat what they are doing, trying to take culture back.
Speaking of hidden propaganda, Kareen, not Karen, says, saw the Batman, it was good. My problem is the portrayal of Bruce was so bad. More debonair, sophisticated billionaire, less deranged meth head, and please also give him a tan. Well, I had a lot.
I'd be worried about him having leukemia, being that pale. But yeah,
he just don't get enough sun, man.
I see what they're saying there. Personally, I didn't really mind the portrayal of Bruce. The only thing I would hope is that if this series continues, that this Bruce Wayne would learn to act like a billionaire playboy in public. Because what I appreciated is that the guy that we see as Bruce Wayne, that's literally Batman without the mask. Batman is the true personality there. Because you've seen like all the other movies and series and stuff with the Bruce Wayne in public, that's all an act. This is a Bruce Wayne that wasn't acting.
If you can call it acting, okay. Blue-eyed Roof Korea says
Cavill. Then how about that?
Yeah, I was gonna say Cavill and Count of Monte Cristo. It would be twice. That's right. That's the whole point.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point. Bring back the old team that did Monte Cristo right
Better
before.
Yet, you got
to bring back him. You have to bring back Jim Caviezel. You'd also have to bring back Gérard Depardieu, because he starred in the version that is the most faithful to the original.
I thought he was kind of problematic.
Mainly the 4-episode French miniseries of The Count of Monte Cristo, which is honestly long and boring, but it's a literal adaptation of the book. So
I thought he was problematic now, though.
Is he?
I don't know. I thought I heard he got canceled. I don't remember. But
so many people have gotten canceled. How are you supposed to keep track of that?
I never do. I just
and for what? That's the other question. For something real.
He got me too for something or other. I don't remember what. But oh yeah, we'd have fun with that, my friend. Christian Corleo says, "How much would buying Dark Crystal cost?" Well, that's still under Henson Company. That was the whole thing. Is Brian wanted to not so much get rid of, but he wanted to concentrate on more adult and Dark Crystal type stuff and other projects. So that's why he sold the Muppets off, or they decided to sell the Muppets so they could concentrate on other things, because the Muppets are like a full-time thing. And unfortunately, Disney has done nothing with them. But yeah, that was kind of the problem, is they were taking up too much of the Henson Company's time. And they wanted to work on other projects. So as far as that goes, you'd have to talk to the Henson Company and see if they'd sell it outright. Otherwise, you'd have to see if you could buy the Henson Company. I mean, at this point, it's worth more now than it was a few years ago because of the series, but
you just have to bribe the right hairs, I guess.
Pretty much. I don't think Brian would sell it until he's like way old and beyond it. Blue-Eyed Roof Korea in the base says maybe gatekeeping is a good thing. Call it curating. Well,
yeah, we need more of it.
Yeah, lots more of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it.
I remember, like, when I first got into Conan, and I was like in the official Robert E. Howard message boards. Those guys did like some gatekeeping. They were like, "There's no slow lane here. If you're going to get into Conan and discuss this stuff with us, you better learn your Robert E. Howard, read the stories, get them, then come back." I didn't necessarily call it gatekeeping, but they were like, "Yeah, we expect you to know your stuff to be here."
Well, I don't even like this. This whole idea that nerds are gatekeepers is bullshit to begin with.
It is complete bullshit.
Because
it should be true.
It should be true. Yeah, because I guarantee you, 90% of nerds, if you show any interest in something that they're interested in, just watch what I say. Like, I'm thinking about getting into anime. Watch, I'm going to get 50 suggestions in the next 5 minutes of anime, what I should start with first. Why? Because anime fans love to share that, just like comic book fans love to share that. You say you're a Batman fan, I'm a Batman fan. You know what my favorite that's what fans do, right? They love to share what they love.
If I may,
they can be the one to pop your cherry, that makes them even more excited.
Yeah. If I may submit an experiment, because I've seen like variations of this in practice. There's like so much talk of like women being kept out of fandom and because of gatekeeping and stuff.
Yeah, right.
As a woman, try going into any comic book store and just like ask a store clerk in the vicinity of passersby, "I don't know where to begin. I want to get into comics. Help me out here."
You'll get you're going right now.
By people who are trying to be so helpful and give recommendation after recommendation. No one's going to tell you to get out. Quite the contrary. You'll never, like, I've never seen such customer service as when someone is in a comic book store trying to get into something for the first time.
Exactly. I mean, yes, you will have, I'm not going to say that there's not those few holes in the wall where they will be like elitist, but most comic book owners I've met in my lifetime were a lot like Gary of Nerdrotic, where he said, you know, he knew every person walking in that store that could be their first comic. You know, he would never try to gatekeep or be elitist or try to, you know, make anybody feel unwelcome. You know, so, and that's, them are the best comic book shop owners and people that are usually hanging around. So yeah, granted, there are those few places, but I don't buy that one chick story, the one that said that she used to hang out with her brother at comic book shops and they would chase her out or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that was the Game of Thrones chick. She who wrote like that.
Yeah.
Mother of Madness with like the period superpowered web swimming webs or skyscraper swinging Spider-Man style from the Arpit and Tear and stuff. Yeah, that was her.
Yeah, I find that story highly unlikely and hard to believe for sure.
Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second.
The true version of it is probably more like she got forced to go with her brother because her brother wanted to go.
And everyone stayed away from her because she was loudly complaining and clearly didn't want to be there.
Exactly, that I could believe. But Ian Carrolls, if I'm saying that right, is here, and he says Connor T and Dominic K from Enterprise now have their own show called Shuttle Pod. Don't know if you've seen it yet. No, I haven't. Is it actually associated with Star Trek?
Or a web series?
That's what I was thinking. Is it like their own personal thing, or is it actually associated with Star Trek?
Because I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they have like a vlog or a podcast or something called Shuttle Pod. That would be perfect for the two of them because they're a great pair. And that episode, like that, what's it called again? Like that bottleneck episode in which the two of them were in a shuttle pod together. That's like one of the best episodes of Enterprise.
I think the word you're looking for is bottleneck. It's a.
Did I not say that?
You said bottleneck. That was where things kind of come to a halt. I think you're thinking of bottle isn't the word, but I think they're just called bottle episodes, aren't they?
Or maybe it's bottle episodes.
I can't remember the word.
Anyway, like the budget episode.
Help me out here, Culture.
We're just going to do this one set today to save some money. And those episodes are often the really, really good ones because they have to focus on character and story.
So it looks like the Shuttle Pod is a show on YouTube.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. A YouTube show. Let's check this out because that could be cool. The two of them, they're like a really good combo.
Well, if they're not associated with Star Trek or CBS, that's why I was asking, because we might be able to talk to them.
Yep, looks like they have a website and a YouTube channel. The website
Shuttle Pod Show. Yeah, it's a YouTube channel. Okay,
we'll have to check that out. Because I seen that. I seen Robert Meyer Burnett join the elite of those who are blocked by Star Trek at Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I was blocked a long time ago. Is Midnight's Edge blocked, Andre? I'm assuming.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I'm sure it is.
You see, I'm the one that runs the official Midnight's Edge Twitter account, and I completely suck at it.
Yeah, you do. No offense, but yeah, I'm pretty bad at social media, and you're worse.
Yeah, but there's a difference. You care a little bit, and I care nothing.
I care enough just because it's like my only way to communicate with some people. To some people, it's the only way they know if we're live, because YouTube don't ever fucking share nothing, and to troll people. That's about it.
Yeah, and that is why you are not running the official Midnight's Edge.
Well, I think I would behave, but I would probably be a lot like, what is it, like the Wendy's Twitter and all that shit, where they just kind of throw random shit out there that's funny as shit and throw shade at like Hardee's and crap like that. I don't know. I'd come up with something goofy just to be funny. It wouldn't be too bad, but it would probably be like you just wouldn't get it, because
probably. Which is okay, as long as it's not too bad. I don't have to get everything.
But yeah, that thing you're talking about in the background there, Culture. What is this now?
Okay, so hang on a second.
Never mind. We'll get back to that in a moment.
Okay, no. Okay, so the Disney annual shareholder meeting is taking place right now.
Right. So
they just had a shareholder. They just did the shareholder proposals during the course of the meeting. It's normal. It's normal. They're usually, the arguments are set forth in advance, and people can monitor from there. You get an audio presentation, then you have, of course, all the proxy voting that takes place in there. It's already tallied by the time you get around to things. So, obviously board members selected, et cetera, et cetera. They just, the fifth proposal, which was on, essentially, disclosing, banning, all of the things that are associated with CRT. Of course, the board decided to just continue business as normal as far as that stuff goes. So that just happened at the shareholder meeting. So they're going to continue to push forward with reimagining tomorrow, which is their CRT initiative. So there you go.
Oh, jeez.
So
that kind of goes a little bit against some of what Chapek was saying in his memo, but.
Well, like I said, out of all the proposals that were put forward, they only voted for one, and it was put forward by obviously majority shareholders. And then you just put Price Waterhouse Cooper in an incredibly powerful position at the end of all of that. So anyway, there you are. So there we go.
Thank you for the update, sir. Woke Hogan's in the house and says, I'm very pumped to not watch fake feminist Ewan McGregor reprise a role he didn't need to. I will watch you guys tear the show apart, though. Well,
that should be fun.
That should be fun indeed. Yes.
Yeah. Is he still a feminist though, or did he
I think so.
When he walked out on his wife and 3 kids?
No, I think that's when he doubled down on it, didn't he?
Yeah, probably because like the woman that he dumped his family for, she's like another super feminist too, isn't she?
Yeah, because I think that happened before the whole Birds of Prey thing, didn't it?
No, that was it was before. It was before.
I was gonna say, because he doubled down on it during Birds of Prey. So.
Oh yeah, of course he did. But that
didn't
was
his daughter.
His marketing.
His daughter called him out or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like write a song or write a letter and like made it public or something, like to him or something.
She probably wasn't too happy about her daddy walking out with.
I kind of wonder how much the mother had to do with that.
To be the daughter's friend.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt that I'm not going to say that the mother didn't have something to do with that. Because I'm just going to say that much.
Whenever a family breaks apart like that, the man often gets to blame, but there's a backstory there.
That's what I'm saying. We have no idea.
No, I agree with you. There's more to it. We have
no idea. And that's the thing, is we're always so quick to blame the guy.
Yeah.
But that's how we've been trained to think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his daughter called him out. I'm sure the mother had nothing to do with
She
that.
never would have had her phone, never would have thought to, oh, it'll look so much better if the daughter said, like, exactly my point.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
And
sure
we've
the
never
mother had
had mothers
nothing
try to
to do
prompt
with
kids during court trials. That never happens. Never, ever. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all that business. This is coming from a single father. I'm just going to say that shit never happens. Anyway, thank you, Woke Hogan. I hear where you're coming from on this. Yeah, I'm quite worried about Obi Wan. David March says you want to win back the support of Trek fans, license fan films, give them their own universe, and take 15% of the sales. You know, I get what you're saying here. It's not a horrible idea. There's been so many cases where people have gone like, well, why haven't they just worked with and licensed? Well, we know what happened with. Here's the thing: we pretty much have heard enough of the story to kind of know now that, you know, Axanar could have been part of Star Trek had, you know, Alec Peters not pretty much destroyed any chance of that happening with his ego, basically, in so many words, and some of the practices he was pulling in the process of. But that's still an ongoing thing, so we'll see how that all kind of winds up. But yeah, that kind of put a damper in that situation. But outside of that, no, I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of times where fan films, that's a good place to find talent. George Lucas, speaking of, used to do that all the time. He had fan contests every year where people would send in fan films and he'd pick winners. And a lot of times that's where he'd get a lot of the talent from. In fact, the guys that built the droids for the prequels were guys that were fans. And they did a better job building the droids than the guys who built them initially. So he brought them in to do the job. So like, that's kind of how it works. You know, the same thing with some of the newer special effects guys and stuff he brought in over time. It was guys who would work on these fan films and all this stuff. So I can't believe Trek turned off that spout of possible talent because of one person. It really does suck, but that's pretty much the case when you boil it down to it anyway.
Yeah, I wish George would have just kept Star Wars and just kept something like that going on and just licensed out to other people to make new movies if he had no interest in making anything else, but still hung on to it to where he could, you know, approve or disapprove of this or that or whatever.
14 Biz, do I remember Hardware Wars? I laughed, I cried, I kissed $3 goodbye. For those who remember one of the world's first Star Wars parodies, I believe it was the first Star Wars parody.
Okay. Yeah, because I've never
back
heard
in the late 70s, early 80s. It used to show on HBO a lot. I actually have a video of it. Yeah, and then Michael Miller says, for Trek, I'd bring in Star Trek beginning written by Band of Brothers writer, film trilogy, codify canon, as pre-2005 only, and create a multi-generational IP at cheap budget and TV and streaming shows do cheap. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Sounds like a winning recipe.
That's what I was trying to say earlier, is you have to do it on a budget. Because that's the thing, is they can still make money, but that's what Emma Watts was trying to say before she got kind of shut down, was that these movies don't make any more than this. Like, if you go, and I get what she was saying, because if you go back and you look at what the original films made at their peak by inflation, even though Hollywood thinks that JJ reinvigorated Trek, and believe me, that's the way they see it, folks. I know it sounds crazy, but that's the way they see it. He didn't do shit. No, they made the same amount of money. It just by inflation. It was all it was inflation.
Look at ticket sales. Look at the number of tickets sold. JJ didn't sell any more tickets than Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
And that was what I was getting to, Andre, is it's still a profitable franchise if you make it for the right price. And that's what Emma was trying to say, is JJ was spending too much fucking money on these movies. And that's why Star Trek Wrath of Khan is one of the most profitable ones of the bunch, because they spent some of the least amount of money on it, and it made almost as much as the original film did.
Yep, pretty much.
And then that movie pushed the next two movies' popularity. So, and I believe at that point, the next two did fairly well, if I'm not mistaken, up until about 5 is when they started to taper off.
Yeah, the number 5 would definitely do that. But here's like the thing: Star Trek can be really, really profitable. You just have to keep in mind this is not a high-end franchise. This is a mid-range thing where there is a cap in how much it's going to earn, and it appeals to a relatively limited audience, and that is fine. Not everything has to be the MCU. This is the same thing that Gary J. Tunnicliffe, our good friend of Hellraiser fame, said is the important thing to understand about Hellraiser. It is a niche. It's not a huge thing. It really isn't. It's a very well-known thing. But the audience that's going to actually go and pay to see a movie like that is somewhat limited, which only means that you have to keep that in account when budgeting. Budget for that, and you're going to have a hit on your hands.
Dash Attack says, speaking of Paramount, the reason I have hopes for Halo is because they are pressed for cash. I know the games and books, so I know its potential. If it sucks, I'll rip it apart in my review. Well, Dash Attack, I hate to be the bearer of bad news than I am. But, oh, it sounds like we're getting some Obi Wan business going on that end. I heard culture. Something about a galaxy far, far away. But off of what you're saying here, don't hold your breath on it being good. Kurtzman's involved with the second season, and I think he got involved with the first season too.
Yeah, like I've heard nothing to make me be excited, because here's like the thing. Yeah, they are pressed for cash. And so if it was up to corporate, they would say, do whatever to make this be financially successful. Unfortunately, it's the people running the production that decides what it's ultimately going to end up being. And they don't care about the mother corporation and actually filling up the coffer, earning money. No, the people in there, they want to double down on their virtue signaling.
Yeah, I heard something about a strong female lead in it.
So yeah,
I don't know.
Dash Attack, I look forward to your review. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, because I don't know the franchise very well. I'm like Andre on that one. It's not on the Sega Mega Drive. Don't know.
Exactly.
We got Mr. Tickle Trunk says Star Trek still needs the Muppets to bring it back. You're not wrong. I would watch a Star Trek Muppets. That's for damn sure. Pigs in space.
I'd be down for it.
Yeah. It's probably gonna come before Star Trek 4.
Lupu says Tom is too much of a fanboy to view it objectively. Actually, I'm not as much. I just know I think you guys are undercutting its value. I'm going off of basically Star Wars and Marvel
Tom,
as a standard.
We just established here that there's a limited audience, and you just look at what Star Trek did in the 80s. You just have to keep the budget in check, and it's fine.
All right, well,
but
usually
for something where you have to keep the budget in check, that's not worth $1 billion.
They usually go by the last 3 things that were released. And going off of the last 3 things that were released, all right, fine. I'll concede that it would still sell for around $750 to million to close to $1 billion.
Then we're in agreement, but it's going to be closer to the 750 than $1 billion.
But if you factor in, even though technically we don't have any idea of how successful it was because they would never tell us, we don't know if they would even have to with some kind of full disclosure, the amount of money that was spent on Discovery, they could factor that into it too. And that's going to get into the story we're going to get into here in a little bit about Paramount, because that's what I was fucking saying before is, yeah, they may not be doing certain things, but once you say, oh, but we spent X amount of money on this series, so that series is worth this much, right? Doesn't matter who watched it. It just matters that it costs that much to make, and now it's part of the franchise. And I'm going off of the fact that there's only 6 movies and like 3 TV series and a couple of TV movies for Star Wars compared to thousands of television episodes, 10 plus movies, and all that kind of stuff. Now, granted, they didn't make nearly as much as the Star Wars films, but it's just the fact that you have all that stuff, like you're buying all that together, like that's, to me, I can see that being worth quite a bit, but I don't think that's going to matter in the grand scheme of things in the story we get into. No, I really don't think I'm nearly as much of a fanboy,
but they are going to make that argument. But if the buyer accepts that argument, that buyer is a fool.
No, I get you, but I'm going off the mentality though, and that's what Bob Iger told George Lucas was, I can't offer you much more than that because you have nothing in production. You have no facilities up and running doing anything right now. He had one animated movie and that was it, right? Like he had nothing to offer, unlike Star Trek, where that's where I said, I have a feeling like the reason they're greenlighting all this shit and they're announcing all this shit, not just Star Trek involved, but everything is, I think they're putting the company up for sale. And well, kids, that's the story we're going to get to if you haven't read the title for the show here. But Corsair Raven says, redo DS9 and have Nicolas Cage as Constable Odo. Well, Nicolas Cage in anything is a good call.
I'd watch the hell out of that.
Nicolas Cage in anything is a good call. Pudding Tang 2 says, this show is going to blow blue milk. Yeah, probably. I hope not. I hope it surprises us. I hope it's the greatest Star Wars show we've ever had. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Gosker Verlot says, if they fuck this up, they just might destroy Star Wars. I know it will for me. I'll rage. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be done with Star Wars if this gets fucked up. Yellow Flash is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Says, I don't care how good it is. Fuck Star Wars and fuck Lucasfilm. Hashtag dead to me. Yeah, I kind of have that feeling myself, my friend. Just Nova says, I fear Kenobi will be more style without substance. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Yeah, considering Deborah Chow did a pretty good job on Mandalorian. Let's fingers crossed. Hopefully it's good. Eric Rue Manson is not worried for Kenobi, though. I no longer care. Well, that's what is that? Apathy or apoplecty or what was the word?
Apathy is the
apathy.
word.
Yeah,
yeah, that's the same with me. I don't really care either, but that's because I never cared,
and now,
which I'm very grateful for.
And now Steel Scout was trying to send something in, but it wouldn't come through, and I didn't get a chance to catch what you were trying to say, Steel Scout. But I see you have another one down here that says, Boba Fett, a story no one asked for or wanted, same with Obi-Wan. Yeah, you're not wrong. But if you wanted to say more, because I see you sent in another one here for $1, just add us right now, and then one of the mods, if I don't see it, will hopefully send it my way so we can address what it is you wanted to talk about, unless it was that. But with that, yeah, nobody really asked for this.
Like nobody asked for
Obi Wan
Harrison Ford solo movie.
Oh God, nobody asked for that. Like nobody wanted that. Like most people didn't want it at all.
Yeah, quite the contrary. That's exactly right. Most people actively, it's not that they wanted it; they actively did not want it. As in, they'd rather not have it.
No, most people were fine with what was in the EU, and those who were not EU fans didn't need to know where the name Solo came from.
Yeah.
And we already kind of had a good idea. Yeah, we already kind of had a good idea of, the Chewie business. Like, it makes sense either, one way or the other. It's like you're better off with whatever's in your own head canon, because it's not going to be as good anyway. And it was like they intentionally made it worse than it could have ever been. It's like, what's the worst possible thing we could do? Let's make Chewbacca like eat people and damn near kill Han Solo and give him a stupid name because he's by himself and all this stupid business. Just the trailer's happening. The trailer is happening, kids. So the trailer is happening.
The Obi-Wan trailer?
Culture just said it's happening right now on the
Disney Plus.
The investor call. Yeah. So
we'll have that. We'll have that before long then.
Awesome sauce. Let's get to some more super chats in the meantime. Daniel sent in a very generous $50 super chat. Holy crap. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hurdle number 1 is an Obi-Wan show about Star Wars and not a vehicle for the narrative. Hurdle number 2 is not breaking continuity that even normies will notice. Yes, very important.
Yep.
Hurdle number 3 is what is there for him to do during this time? That's a good question. Hurdle number 4 is good writing. It's dead on arrival.
Daniel,
it's got a lot going against it.
Good analysis, gotta
Absolutely.
say. So hats off to you. Great analysis.
Yeah, number 2 is the one that's the most concerning for me personally. On the breaking continuity.
We have the trailer, kids. Are we going to show it, Andre? Disney's usually pretty good. You might be able to just fight a claim if they do it.
Okay. Well, yeah. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it.
I think we just got paid for it anyway.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, kids. Here we go.
Let's live dangerously.
Let's live dangerously. Thank you, Six, for sending me the link. Here it is.
Minute 46.
It is 1:46.
It's going to be our live reaction with you guys.
Yes. Well, that was interesting.
Right. That was better than I expected. But let's hear what you all have to say. Nick, being the birthday boy, what did you think?
I actually thought it wasn't that bad of a trailer. I mean, it doesn't erase any of the concern I have for it, but as far as the trailer goes, I actually thought it was fairly decent. I do have some questions. Me and Coach are probably going to go through and break the thing down later, you know, shot by shot. But just on first watch, again, Uncle Owen having run-ins with the Inquisitors, like I don't understand why there's any kind of interaction there at all. So I'll be curious to see what the deal is with that. I thought Ewan McGregor looked okay. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was fairly decent. I don't know where the one shot where it looked like they were kind of in a city. That didn't appear to be anything on Tatooine, which I guess it could be just a new city that we haven't never seen before. But overall, I actually thought it was okay, not that bad.
Culture?
Look, I have to say and agree 100% that looks truly amazing. It does look like Star Wars. I mean, and that's weird. You know, it sounded like Star Wars. The music was great. They used, you know, the prequel music. I did enjoy the shot of what I believe is probably Coruscant. You had like a more look and feel of something that we traditionally understand as Star Wars, and not some, you know, funky Vespa bikes. I felt like, you know, we were revisiting different places, you know, but it's primarily obviously set on Tatooine. I am not. I mean, the themes behind it seem to be exactly what you would expect. And I thought that the having Uncle Owen be as integral as it seems like he's going to be is very interesting choice. So I'm actually looking forward to it tentatively. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do want to add one thing that I did not like, and I just thought of it. I noticed it watching it, but it just came back to mind when I was watching you guys scroll through the chat here on screen. Was somebody said it looked like there was a lot of heavy-handed females in charge here, like a lot of female officers, the female Inquisitor. And I did notice that in the trailer. And the issue I have with it is when we get to the OT, you'd never see any female officers anywhere in the Empire. So it just doesn't make sense why there'd be all these, you know, strong female officer characters. And then what happened? They just all died or got shipped off to some other part of the galaxy, you know, during the OT time.
Well, maybe they got shifted to Norway in the Viking era to become
yeah.
chieftains or something. My point is like, I'm happy to accept that in a galaxy long ago, far away, whatever. There are places where that's going to be more damaging, like what I just mentioned.
Well, we're getting a very varied response from you guys out there in the chat. So it'll be interesting to see. We got everything from mad to pretty good to bad to like all kinds, like it's all over the place. So wow. A lot of different takes so far.
And that's pretty much the state of Star Wars in the fandom right now. It's all over the place. I mean, you got people that are completely done, nail in the coffin, will never watch it, talk about it, anything. Then you got people that are still kind of hopeful, such as Coach and myself. Then you got people that just love everything with the Star Wars name slapped onto it, you know.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing here. So, Nick, any other initial thoughts on this before we move on?
No, not off the top of my head.
Yeah, Tom, your thoughts? Yeah.
Wow. Some of it looked really good. Some of it gives me pause. I'm not sure how to feel about the Darth Vader thing yet. Because, that's going to be a tough one for me. But I can see that I kind of predicted some of it, but we'll see how it rolls. It doesn't look horrible, at least in my opinion. I mean, I kind of see some of the things that some of the people are. I'm just very surprised by how diverse of a response it's getting in the chat. But like Nick said, I mean, that's kind of the state of Star Wars right now, right?
Yeah.
Culture. You've had some more time to digest it now.
I mean, again, my first blush reaction has not changed. I don't think I'm continuing to kind of digest what we all saw. Again, the look and feel is there. The opening shot, the establishment shot of the trailer was very reminiscent of things that we'd seen before. Unfortunately, they used the same opening establishment shot in a trailer in the previous Disney Plus series that we saw, the Book of Barely Fett, but this does look more
Barely Fett.
This does look more Star Wars. I know that sounds weird, but it does feel like this is a lived-in universe. I feel like I've been here before. I feel like that they're capturing more of what Star Wars is. It's not just fixed around one small planet or maybe two or three. And if they do go out to Coruscant, if they do go out to other locations, I mean, that's even more intriguing. And it wouldn't be that hard to do, obviously, because of the techniques that they use to produce these things nowadays. It's not a whole lot of physical sets involved in some of these things, some of these shots. But I have to tell you, I'm more optimistic about this than I would have thought that I would be. I understand that the chat's probably not going to agree with me, and that's fine. I'll probably watch it 2 or 3 more times, just to kind of take in all the details. So yeah, wow, look at that.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna bring that up. That's actually was my favorite clip of the trailer, with him kind of being off in a distance, looking in on Luke and what he's doing and making sure everything's good there. That was definitely my favorite scene in the trailer for sure.
Did you guys ever watch Kenobi, A Star Wars Story? It was like a 19-minute fan film.
I did. I don't remember much about it because that was a while back ago, but I liked it.
It focused on the family, right, and the little boy, and everything else. It focused on Uncle O and Aunt Beru. It was very intriguing. So it's like they took some of the flavor of that and threw it into this show. As I kind of see that there too. Maybe I'm wrong, but look at this. This is not Tatooine.
yeah, definitely not.
It's probably Coruscant, isn't it? Or
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, It looks very much like, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. That would make sense. It looks like we're getting a new droid. That Inquisitor right there, man.
Whose bald head was that? Whose bald head was that?
The Inquisitor.
No.
Oh, he's that? Facing.
Yeah.
Movie Fett?
No. Who knows? There's going to be some weird stuff in this. There's no doubt. So, I think they're going to drag in some more characters than we think.
Maybe. Are you saying that's Samuel Jackson?
No. Although, would it surprise you if Mace made an appearance?
No, not really.
Yeah, it shouldn't surprise you if we end up with Mace Windu.
No, it shouldn't at all. I mean, we didn't see him die, did we?
And Samuel L. Jackson has definitely voiced his desire to come back and reprise that role.
Wow.
Yeah, and as for me, I'm surprised. This was much better than I would have expected. Of course, I am smart enough to realize that the music is a big part of it, because even I felt something with that music, especially when it reaches its crescendo. Because as Mags pointed out in the chat, this is the music from episode 1, and that movie had a really good score, and that was used to great effect in here. When you have that music with very Star Wars imagery, you recognize these characters from the prequel trilogy. Of course, it's going to feel like Star Wars. There wasn't anything too overt taking you out of it, like some things reminding you that this is being filmed today, to put it that way. But overall, this was cool. Didn't reveal too much, because remember, this is a teaser trailer. There's no doubt going to be others, or we're going to get like Darth Vader and stuff like that prior to the May release. But all in all, this was good. I'm more excited again. So job well done, I guess.
All right. Well, let's see what the chat is saying. Let's get back into the super chats here. Joseph Citadino, if I'm saying that right. The leaks that dropped recently sound okay, solid. Lots of fan service and returning characters, to the point it's almost too many returning characters. Well, we've seen a few here already. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, get ready for more of that now after Spider-Man No Way Home.
This is true. And Dash Attack says Twitter kills brain cells, Andre. This is very true.
Yeah. Well, actually, don't feel sorry for me at all, because, I suck at Twitter and my life is better for it.
This is very true.
So are my brain cells.
And I usually ask him, like, have you seen Twitter yet? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, yeah.
They did do a good job recreating that Luke's homestead there, because I'm guessing they didn't actually go to Tunisia and film there.
Probably not. Considering they had to kick homeless people out of it the last time they did, yeah.
Well, they have like these Mando Tech super duper screens right now. So yeah, why go spend money to go there when you just like build those stuff in the foreground and have the screen in the background?
Yep,
pretty much. Adam Wolford says, so do you guys remember the fan-made Astartes? Am I saying that right? Astartes? Right? So now have a new fan-made series about Battletech. It's called Higher Steel. Giant robots fighting each other, and it's voiced. Text Black, Pants Legion. No, I don't remember Astartes. Astartes, whatever it is. But new fan-made series about Battletech, and it's called Higher Steel. Well, if you're into giant robots fighting, it looks like Higher Steel is the thing for you, huh?
Yeah. So
do they have chucks? Do they have nunchucks? Maybe I'll watch it. But thank you for that, Adam Alford. We appreciate that. And it's also National Crab Meat Day. Well, how many national days can it be, Mr. Tickletrunk?
Well, I have to say, these are some pretty decent national days, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that point, but how many? Seriously.
Well, there's 365 days a year.
In one day? But
time zones.
All right. Das Wolfen says, can we just ban Kurtzman from all genre projects?
Yes, please. I support that.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of cancel culture, but I'm willing to make an exception on this one.
He can go work on some stupid shit.
He can work on his own original content. Maybe he can do that good. I mean, just ban him from doing branded stuff that other people have done. This guy is obviously such a creative powerhouse that he can't be playing in someone else's sandbox. He needs to go to his own sandbox and stick there.
Yeah. And if I mean, people who work normal jobs, if you go there and you do bad at that job and then they fire you, I mean, you can't really claim cancel culture for that, for you doing a bad job.
You can be pissed, but you're going to know deep inside that you did this to yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
There's other things he can do, like take out the garbage, catering.
He might even screw that up, Tom.
You got a point. I don't want him feeding nobody. But yeah, no, I'd even sign that petition. I think I did. Primer says EFAP is going to have a field day with Kenobi. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It might be good, might not be. We'll see. Mizzy Buddy says, Hail Midnight's Edge, longtime fan of the show, and wise words of Darth Treya. Apathy is death, indeed. It seems to be a lot of people are feeling that for Star Wars at the moment, but some are not. Steel Scout says, made my day. Thanks, guys. I love your content. Well, thank you, Steel Scout. Hopefully we addressed what you wanted us to, because I know you were trying to get across a message, but then you sent in another one that says, might have to cut back a little on gas prices. I love you. Well, no worries there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Understood.
Well, if it is any any consolation, gas prices are much higher in Norway. I mean, I just saw today that the diesel was almost 24 krona per liter. That has never, ever happened. Exactly how much that is per gallon, I do not know, but I know it's a hell of a lot more than you're paying right now. It's probably what you'll be paying in a week.
Well, you know, our friends in Canada, as of 3 days ago, were paying the equivalent of $9 US per gallon.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that sounds more like Norwegian prices.
And I saw soybeans and wheat skyrocket too.
Wheat jumped. Yeah, wheat doubled in price in just a few hours yesterday. It was bananas. Yeah.
All right. And then we had one from Trav101 here. Says, why are we waiting for Hollywood to change when we start creating our own entertainment industry? Fans should be appreciated and not insulted.
100%.
I don't disagree, Trav101.
Yeah.
Comic books have kind of been the blueprint on how to do that. But unfortunately, creating a TV show or a movie is a little bit more difficult than creating a comic book. But I think things are getting there. I think there's a path for it. Don't everybody add in onto that one at once, please.
Yeah, not
No, you're right.
Not everybody.
Yeah,
Calm down, guys. Not at the same time.
Here's the thing, though, if I may, just real quick, before I pass it to culture. Most people don't have the opportunity to go and do something on their own. Yeah, true. Everyone can take their mobile and film some kind of movie or series or whatever on their own. But it's a matter of making it look like something, like a proper production, having it distributed, stuff like that, right? That's not something that everyone can do. On the contrary, that's something that very, very few can do. Daily Wire is leading the charge. I think more will follow. But for most people, I don't think should be trying to create their own. Instead, they should be very selective and vote with their wallets. That's the biggest thing that most people can do. Most people can't create. Not because there's anything wrong with them and they're not smart enough. No, because most people don't have the millions of millions required to make something that's going to stand on its own in competition to Hollywood. So what most people can do is vote with their wallets, which is something I hope more and more people will do.
If Chris Gore was here, he'd also remind you that there is original stuff out there. It's just, you got to go find it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if it's not something that has an IP attached to it or something that the studio thinks they can sell, well, then they ignore it. And that's why you sometimes got to find it on your own. But now in the days of streaming, there's more independent stuff out there than there ever has been before.
Yeah.
So just try and seek out what you like. There's ways of finding out about it. I know Chris Gore recommends a lot of stuff all the time. There's other places you can go. Yep.
Yeah, check out Film Threat and listen to Chris when he's over here on Midnight's Edge and wherever else he appears. But I like,
especially if you're into horror. There's a huge community of
independent horror. Yeah,
independent horror. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also the cool thing with that is that some of that stuff, there in Horror in particular, the barriers to entry, I would say, are smaller.
Yes.
So there you have some really, really cool stuff.
And that was actually going to be my point, Andre, is the barrier of entry when it comes to some of these things has been removed, because you're holding in your hand a high quality camera already. You probably need to, rely on some better audio equipment and things like that if you want to make something of quality. But those barriers are removed, but there's still many others that exist that are all oriented around the finances of a given production. So you also are going to run into a barrier with distribution, and that's the stuff where that's why Chris Gore's always talking about, you have to go out and find these things because they are not getting the kind of distribution that they deserve. So it does take a lot. It does take a name, and maybe, just maybe, places like Daily Wire, as Andre suggested, and many others will start to actually provide those types of services to independent creators as well, because I believe that will open up a renaissance in entertainment. So
honestly, I think that's sorry, Nick, carry on. I'll carry on.
I was just going to make a point of there's a TV show on YouTube that I came across years ago that I still watch to this day called Game Chasers, and it's sort of like American Pickers, but with retro video game stuff. And they produce and do the whole show themselves, and they have episodes, and the production value from start to finish is like top notch. And they actually just got done doing their own movie with the two guys, Billy and Jay, that are in the show, are the main characters in this movie. And they just spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of tens of thousands of dollars making this independent film that just premiered in January of this year. And so there's definitely people out there doing it. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it out there on the internet and other websites and stuff. But
I think I watched it on Amazon Prime. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't that. It was Netflix or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, you're talking about 8-Bit Christmas?
No. I'm talking about the one you're talking about where they go on to go find old Nintendo games.
Yeah. I
think the whole goal is to get every single game or whatever.
Yeah, that was a cool documentary. I've seen that one.
Yeah, I think
something different.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of something different, Tom, because I think their episodes are exclusive only on their YouTube channel, the Game Chasers YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. This was a documentary, yeah.
Yeah, but I highly recommend you guys checking out the Game Chasers if you're into like retro video game stuff. And they have one episodes called the Toy Chasers, where they find old retro toys, Star Wars, Star Trek, Transformers, all kinds of stuff. And the production value it's top notch from start to finish. And I've kind of talked with those guys, behind the scenes, just because I, as a fan, and one of the guys from their channel, Melvor, is actually a fan of our channel and actually comes in the chats and talks with us and stuff. And I'm actually going to involve them a lot in this next documentary that we're working on the rise and fall of LucasArts gaming. But cool. Yeah, I highly recommend checking them out, because it's just talking about alternative entertainment. It's funny, it's informative, educational. It's good.
It is, and it sounds like they are liable to cover Sega Mega Drive.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Gonzalo Bergali's in the house and says, "Welcome to the Female Inquisitor Show." Well, let's hope that's not the case, but we won't know until May 25th. Then Steel Scout comes in again and says, "Don't woke my guy." I think Steel Scout's talking about Obi-Wan. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Mecha J says, "The trailer looked good, but not enough to get me excited."
I understand that.
Yeah. Blue-Eyed Roof Korea in the base says, "Getting tired of the just bend the knee and accept defeat ideology pushed by Disney still.
Yep.
Is there a metric for tracking money lost to ideology?"
I wish.
Here's the thing, though. That is what they're pushing right now. That is how the series is going to open. We don't know that that's how it's going to end.
That's a very good point.
So I wouldn't make that judgment call just yet.
And
Although
then,
you probably can make it later.
And then Blue Ride Roof Korean the base says Disney correcting Lucas's past shortcomings on Star Wars. Well, they'd like to think so, but we'll see. You have something to say to that, Nick?
Oh, I agree.
Okay. Just Nova says the Kenobi trailer was good, but not enough to watch the show at this point for me. I'll wait for reviews. Well, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's
not a bad idea.
Fair.
Yeah, we had several people on our channel did the same thing with Book of Boba Fett. They're like, I'm not watching it. I'm just going to wait till the reviews and see if it's even worth watching.
And that's the beauty of this fellowship is there's so many different fans you can go by. You know, a fan that you kind of like one of us. If you like, I'm about as much as a fan of Star Wars as Culture is, or Tom, or Andre, or Nick. You know, we're so varied, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's such a different. So you get different takes on it, and then you kind of be able to tell where you think you might figure, yeah, I might like that or I might not. I'm sure a lot of people appreciated that for Boba Fett.
But the funny thing is, when people give either a good review or a bad review based on the exact same thing.
That's what I felt like the Batman has been all week almost, except for a few things, but yeah. But I'm not going to get into that this morning. Adam Wolford says it looks good, but just remember how good other trailers look just because of the looks, but the storyline is important part. It is. I will pass. Well, there you go, Adam. That's your choice on that one. Yeah, I'm worried too. Go ahead.
And Adam brought up a good point of something that I thought about earlier, and I completely forgot what I was going to say, and Adam just reminded me. But you can't really name any Star Wars that's looked bad. I mean, visually, it's all for the most part looked pretty top notch and pretty good. I mean, even the sequels looked good as far as the cinematography and the special effects.
Well, shit, yeah, I'll even argue that The Last Jedi is probably one of the best looking of all the films, but the worst of all the films.
Yeah, exactly. It's never been an issue on whether it looks good. It always comes down to the story and what they're doing with the characters. And we didn't really get a whole lot of any of that from that trailer. So that's why my concern level really hasn't changed, but I liked what I saw in the trailer. I thought it was a good trailer. It looked good, but again, Star Wars has never really looked bad.
Yeah, and then Darth Plato says, I'll watch it for myself, so other people aren't doing the thing for me. Well, that's also your choice as well. Some people may want to save the time. And while we got a second here, we got a few member chats. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk in the house. It says, happy learn what your name day means. How many more days is it, Mr. Tickle Trunk?
Time zones.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a pretty cool day, though.
Yeah.
Learn what that's everyone should do that. Actually.
And then that 70s rock fan has been a member for a year. Happy birthday! Wow. Awesome, 70s rock fan.
Actually, his birthday, but yeah.
I know, but the 70s rock fan's been a member for a year. It's his member birthday.
Oh.
You know who else has been a member for a year? Darius Munchausen. Happy birthday to you too. Thank you so much. We appreciate those. And then we got, let's see here. Where do we leave off? Michael Miller says Disney confirmed only Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel coming out this year. So Secret Invasion pushed to 2023. And I think so was Black Panther 2, but I'm not surprised. We've already gotten so far into this year and things have been moving slow. So that's probably more reasons than not.
I haven't heard y'all's thoughts on Moon Knight. Is that something you guys are looking forward to?
I am. I'm very much so looking forward to Moon Knight.
Yeah, me and Coach are too. We're gonna review it.
Can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Oh, we have another guest with us, ladies and gentlemen. The man I want to be when I grow up, Mr. Chris Gore.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Andre. Hey, Tom. Hey, Culture.
Good morning.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Hey, Nick. What's going on? Sorry, you sent me the invite, and for some reason I didn't see it. So my apologies.
Nah, no worries. We were kind of more talking about the Batman Roundtable thing, but we're glad to have you here. Did you happen to check out the Obi Wan trailer?
Yes, I did. Watched it 3 times in a row.
And your reaction?
I'm in two minds. I got chills during parts of it, to be honest. Ewan McGregor as that character is just, it's something, that it's a great performance, right? And it was one of the things about the prequels nobody ever complained about. When people had problems with the prequels, none of it was about Ewan McGregor's performance as Obi Wan Kenobi, his interpretation of that character, and to see him continue that legacy as a broken man, having lost is awesome. And you can see they're setting up some cool aspects, something that we only heard about, Darth Vader hunting down Jedi. And of course they've included the Inquisitor. So a lot of it, like I really liked, including like a lot of the music that they used in the trailer just to echo some of the great pieces from the prequels. But then part of me is like, oh shit, Disney Plus is making this, so it's not going to be great. So it's like I like what I saw and got me excited, and it seems like it just feels like a Disneyfied version, parts of it, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm very skeptical. So I don't know, did you all have a chance to see it and talk about it? I missed it.
Yeah, we're all kind of in the same boat as you. It's all
Yeah.
and even the chat's been kind of all across the board, mixed reactions to it. A lot of people got excited by a few things, but again, a lot of people are also skeptical. So yeah, I'm pretty much.
I do like that they're bringing John Williams back to do some of the score.
Well, as far as we know, it's just the theme song so far.
Yeah. But at least they got him to come back and do something with it.
And I mean, look, I think this has a lot of potential, but again, I haven't gotten invested. I didn't watch Hawkeye. I didn't finish, what was it? The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't finish it. I started watching it and lost interest, so many of these things just, I feel like they kick off. And then you look at like Boba Fett, and like, I watched a couple episodes of it, but what's the point? And I think that the reason this could work is because there's a story here, right? There's a story of what happened to Obi Wan Kenobi. There are unanswered questions from the prequels. When did he start using the name Ben, right? And how did that like solidify? What's his relationship? He did obviously have a relationship with Owen Lars, right? Because he knows him. So clearly some things happened with Owen Lars. So there's more to this story. There are things that are glossed over or just assumed between, Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope that they could fill in, but not in a way that just seems pandering, but in a way that's like, oh, that explains it, right? Like, why did he come up with this elaborate lie to Luke? And I think what this series has the potential to do is actually answer those questions in a satisfying way. Now, can they pull it off? I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with Chris there, 100%. Like I said earlier, which you weren't here for that part, Chris, yeah. But I was saying how the trailer looked good. There were several things in it that just, like, especially where Obi-Wan was looking down on the Lars homestead, and you see, a small boy Luke there. It was my favorite scene in that whole thing. But, we didn't really get a whole lot of what the story's going to be. We just really got a lot of visuals in the trailer. So, and with Disney's track record with Star Wars, my concern level is still there as far as that goes. But as far as the trailer goes, I thought that there was some good stuff in it, and it looked great in a lot of scenes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, but it's just, again, you're right. It's the Disney track record that has me skeptical. So we'll see. I mean, wasn't this also famously like they were going to do it, then they stopped to work on the story and work on the script? Isn't that?
Yeah, because what happened was they announced it. They had all the scripts written. Then Mandalorian came out, and somebody said, "Oh crap, this is too much like Mandalorian. We have to rewrite it."
Yeah, you could see him with, developing some relationship with Luke or meeting him. I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it's just some peripheral meeting or something. But it looks like there's there's amount of time that has passed. This isn't like, immediately after the end of Revenge of the Sith. This is like, at least it's got to be like 6-7 years later, right? Like Luke's a kid. I mean, he's It looks maybe even like 8 or 9. I don't know. I'll have to watch it again.
I think they officially came out and said it was 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, well, Obi-Wan is really going to age pretty darn quickly.
Yeah.
Well, he did. I mean, you know, but I feel I still, here's the problem. I'm sitting very uneasy. So the more I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, that looked good. I like the choice of the music. Of course, we're using the prequel stuff. I was enjoying the visuals. There's a lot of things that, you know, are touchstones, you know, that are appealing, but I'm sitting very, very uneasy with it, like that unsettled feeling in my stomach, and I'm worried about that.
It has the possibility of not only of undoing all the good, right? Of making you look on. This is, I think, been the problem with Disney Star Wars from the beginning. It makes you look on the original movies that we all love, right, to varying degrees, warts and all. And I think the prequels have aged much better, you know, with the distance of time, but also has the possibility of unraveling all the good, making you look at something and go, oh, that's stupid, right? Like, or that didn't need to be explained. But in this case in particular, there are a lot of loose ends. I mean, Lucas even famously, I'm sure you heard the story, when he shot Revenge of the Sith, he forgot. He had to go shoot an insert shot of Obi Wan Kenobi picking up Anakin's lightsaber because he forgot to do that, you know? Like, it's like, oh yeah, he gives him the lightsaber. I guess I better have him pick it up, right? Like, so there are definite loose ends. I mean, how does Obi Wan Kenobi know? And look, you can write it off like, oh, it's the Force. He just knows things. It's like, but how does he know he's more machine now than man, right? Like, how does he know that? He doesn't know that because, you know, he just left him to die. For all Obi-Wan Kenobi knows, Anakin died at that lava bed, but he does know. So clearly they had another encounter, right?
Well, maybe he just force felt that something's missing here. I only feel half of him.
Yeah.
I think it was more so like, he saw the transmission of him being Darth Vader. So he knows the name.
Right.
He left him for dead. It's not like Darth Vader isn't well known. Like, he's pretty high up in the hierarchy. Like, so, you know, it'd be like saying you wouldn't know who, like, like who the Minister of Defense or something like that was, or what, you know, like something like that in the hierarchy of things. Like, cause he's kind of like, he's not right next to the Palpatine, but he's like 2-3 down the row. So people are going to know who he is. It's about like knowing who the president is in their first few in command. Right. So I can see how Obi-Wan would know who he is just vicariously through, you know, news.
Yeah, but that's a lot to. I think it's more impactful if they have some other.
I get it, and Robert Meyer Burnett made a similar argument, and I was just kind of like, yeah, but I just see a lot of people having an issue with that. I don't know if they're going to buy it.
And I don't, like I said, I mean, and I know where everybody's coming from, you know, Chris and Rob and everybody, but I look, you know, it's Chris, I think you asked me this question before. Right. You know, when Obi-Wan walks away from Anakin, you know, on Mustafar, right? You know, he's so filled with emotion. Emotion is an enemy when it comes to the Force and with your ability to reach out. So he's carrying around huge emotion and guilt, you know, and so, you know, his, you know, maybe that was blocking his ability to detect his friend's presence. You know, it was one time's friend's presence, you know, and I mean, they had an epic battle, right? You know, at the end of his life. And I feel like, I feel like, you know, the emotion is what blocked him from, you know, knowing that, you know, Anakin was out there, or, you know, Darth Vader was out there or whatever.
But he knew it though. That's the point.
Eventually. Yeah. But I'm saying is like, you know, he had to overcome his entire, all that guilt and all the emotion behind it, having to, you know, try to dispatch his friend is my point, you know, and his Padawan at that time, you know, so it is what it is.
You need some coffee.
I do. Yeah, that's probably true.
Master Clockwork. Sorry, we didn't see this earlier. My bad. We got a couple that are going to be out of order here, but we did go back and make sure we got everybody's super chat. So this is more about the Inquisitors hunting down Obi-Wan and trying to keep a low profile rather than his generic time on Tatooine. Okay, well, so far that appears to be the case from the trailer. We're going to see, though.
Yeah, we still don't even know why the Inquisitors are even on Tatooine. You know, why are they even there?
Well, I would assume somebody hears there's the offspring of Skywalker there, but
Yeah.
we could, well, maybe not. Or maybe they're looking for him. That's the whole point, because they kind of say something about, they're talking about Obi-Wan in the trailer about how, you know, Jedis are a beacon for hope and all that shit. And
I have to say, I hope they're not there looking for the offspring of Skywalker, because if that is widespread knowledge, then it's going to be really embarrassing that Darth Vader doesn't know.
Well, that was my point I said before. Something has to happen that they basically get thrown off the scent, so they don't think he's really there. Hence, that's why Luke was able to be safe all this time.
See, we actually had a conversation about
because it was
this.
the droids that brought the Empire there, not Luke anyway. So yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I would be fine with it if the Inquisitors were or got tipped off or something, and we're going to investigate, you know, and they find out the truth. And sort of like the scene in The Last Starfighter where the Zandozan finds out that Alex Rogan on Earth is really just a beta unit and not the real Alex Rogan. And he's racing back to a ship to transmit that message, you know, and then right before it's the full message is sent, you know, the beta unit crashes into it, it blows up, and they never actually get the full message. You know, if they find out the truth there or go there because they hear rumors or whatever, and then, you know, they're trying to get back to relay this message, and Obi-Wan's going to stop them, you know, I think something like that could work.
Well, I'll be honest, I've seen some people already say in the chat that one chick is probably going to turn good. And that's what I was going to posit, is that what'll end up happening is, they're sent there to see if there is an offspring of Skywalker. There, you know, the show will happen. By the end, the one will flip to the good side and will tell them that no, there is no son of Skywalker, knowing full well there is, because Obi-Wan said he is our only hope. Right. Kind of thing.
I like where you're going with that, Tom, because that could actually be really interesting in the sense that Obi-Wan failed with Anakin. I mean,
exactly.
His greatest failure is he failed, but what he did do is he succeeded in saving Luke Skywalker to live to fight another day, and potentially, as you know, take that Inquisitor. I assume you mean the woman with the lightsaber.
Yes.
So she's maybe turned to the good side, which would be a decent story arc. I just hope, you know, that they treat her character. You know, we've gotten so used to it that it's like female characters and genre stuff are just great and always awesome all the time and have no story arcs whatsoever and nothing bad, or there's no struggle at all. Like, that's just become we're so used to it. It's just like, I mean, that would make her far more interesting as a character, that Obi-Wan was able to turn someone to the good side, which led to things better for the galaxy. But also, like, knowing how everything ends with the sequels, it's hard to care about Star Wars anymore, you know, like it really is. So the fact that this is like the first thing, you know, that's gotten me interested, at least since, you know, The Mandalorian was decent. I don't know, we'll see.
Well, and basically it's just an elongated movie, right? Because it's just a mini series. So
do we know how many episodes?
6.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, Master Clockwork. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
Oh, no. So, you know, I guess we'll get, like, is it going to be 6 hours? I mean, we'll see. 5 hours. I mean, who knows? I like that episodic, you know, just kind of like is able to just be as long as is necessary rather than like some set time period, you know, like, so.
I think this was always just kind of meant to be like a movie. And then just was,
turned
it
into
feels like
show.
a movie. I mean, production value wise, I mean, what I saw looks better than anything I saw in Boba Fett.
Yeah,
like,
I 100% agree there for sure.
Yeah, it looks bigger. It feels more epic. We're going
more lived in.
It's got the Emperor, you know. It feels like Star Wars. It feels like the Star Wars we knew, not from the prequel era, but, you know, from the original trilogy era, which things got a little dirtier. So, you know, we'll see.
I'm actually interested to see this Pinocchio deal, but I don't know how many people are. But Steel Scout says,
I'm interested.
I just want to see what we get of it. Steel Scout says barely fat, laughing at Culture's nickname for Boba Fett.
That was a really good one. Very good.
Blue-eyed Roof Korea in the base says, you and blink twice if the mouse is blackmailing you. I think more so he had to, as we were talking earlier, he had to help his image a little bit more than anything. Lupu says, hated it, gonna rewatch it 12 more times.
Wow.
Larry says, no. Larry, you know what you should have done? No. That would have been funnier. Sean Cullen says, how do you retcon episode 3's novelization stating Mace died? What do you consider canon, written, or physical media? Physical media. Yeah. And not only that, I consider movies canon most of all. I rarely watch cartoons. I don't like to do homework. If it doesn't happen on screen, then the shit didn't happen.
Because they already retconned the comics in the book of Boba
They've
Fett
done that a couple times,
several times over even.
Yeah, Tom, I'm with you. That's my definition of canon. It's like if it happened in the movies, it happened. The novels are just, I mean, unfortunately, but they're good ideas in the novel.
Unless it's something that started as a novel, that's a different argument.
Yeah.
But like in this situation, like all the Star Wars novels are basically novels of the screenplays or the scripts. So like, yeah, there's stuff that was in them that probably didn't get used in the movie, but if it didn't end up on screen, then even George Lucas doesn't consider it canon. So
right.
Because there was a whole bit in the Return of the Jedi novel where Obi-Wan explains the whole battle on Mustafar, or at least not in detail, but it gets into it quite a bit, and things changed from what's in there, from my recollection, to what's in episode 3. So
is Mace Windu in this?
No, there's been some rumors swirling that Samuel Jackson might be coming back for something, and there was one shot of somebody who was bald from behind talking to one of the bad guys.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I was jokingly saying it was Mace Windu, but it was just a joke.
And also Darth Vader. Look, Darth Vader's in this series. We didn't see Darth Vader. Another implication that he'll be there, obviously, from the breathing at the end over the title. Yeah. But it's the Darth Vader's the greatest movie villain in cinema history. Period. And when you ask, Star Wars fans, whenever they do polls, Darth Vader is always at number one, right? So to bring him back, like, I don't know. I think that's going to be pretty huge. I think this could be a win for Disney if it's handled respectfully, right? And it actually gives us answers that connect the dots without destroying the legacy. And I think that's the problem that they've had. I mean, that's why Boba Fett, I didn't want to watch it. Like, I got my fill of Boba Fett in the movies, right? The movies, I think Boba Fett, it's perfect. Like, he's just used enough. And that's what makes the Star Wars universe so rich, is the most minor characters have incredible backstories, if you look, or implied backstories that we never learn, or we can use our imagination to fill out. And what Disney's doing with all of these, whether it's a Marvel series or a Star Wars series, is they're destroying your ability to imagine what might have happened to Boba Fett. Because I'll tell you this, my imagination of what happened to him after he went in the Sarlacc pit is better than what I saw on Disney Plus. I mean, that first episode was painful to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then Still Messiah sends in 20 Danish krona and says it looks like that 10-minute concept video from George Lucas. Well, as I said before, some of the I wouldn't be surprised if at least some of the initial ideas weren't from some of it.
Underworld?
Yeah, but I do see what you're saying there, especially the bits which are probably Coruscant, but we're not sure yet.
Yeah. I think I can see that. I really can.
I just want my lightsaber back. Well, which one is it? The one that says "bad motherfucker" on it.
That's right.
It does have BMF on it.
It does.
That's no joke. Infinite Wanderer says Asterix come from 40K. Okay, that's why. Fan film with best 3D animation online. Black Pants Legion is a YouTube channel. Tex is the guy in charge. Watch Asterix now. Well, I'll do my best, but I'm not a big 40K fan. I haven't got into it yet. But for those who are, if you haven't checked that out, there you go. It's just another thing that I haven't gotten into yet, though. Sorry about that. And if anybody else has, though, there's a good fan film for you. Then we got Adam Adam Wolford here and says in the BattleTech giant robots use guns and missiles. If you want close range combat, go to House Carita. These weebs use karate in their giant robots. Well, yeah, I want nunchucks with my robot. Thank you very much. Dalek451 says, when's National Pizza Day? I'd celebrate that. I know there is one. I don't remember which day it is, Dalek. But it looks like you're over in the UK or whatever, so I don't know what day it would be there either. You'd have to consult with your local calendar. TNL89 says, joke, woke up. What's May 25th? May 25th is when Obi Wan drops on Disney Plus. Adam Wolford says, Midnight's Edge, I don't think the Daily Wire is going to do a sci-fi series or big sci-fi movie.
Not anytime soon. But just remember the story of New Line Cinema. It started out with Bob Shea, and just check out our interview with Bob Shea.
Yeah.
Him importing the cheapest movies he could find from overseas, plus ancient movies from like the 30s.
Like Reefer Madness and shit, yeah.
Yeah, and like driving them from one university film club to another in his car. And it took him decades of this till he had scraped together enough to fund A Nightmare on Elm Street. And then from there, from strength to strength, gradually, all the way up to Lord of the Rings level. I'm not saying that the Daily Wire is going to do like a sci-fi series or big movie or fantasy movie anytime soon. But if their venture is successful, I would not rule that out down the line.
Well, Daily Wire is doing one. It's
oh, there you go. That went fast. That was faster than I thought.
Well, they're doing a superhero movie. I mean, it looks pretty low budget. I mean, it looks like it reminds me of James Gunn's movie Super with Rainn Wilson.
Nothing wrong with that, but yeah, okay.
But it comes out tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. My understanding is. And it's called The Hype.
This is the one they're dropping straight to YouTube, right?
Yeah, no, it's going to be on YouTube. This is the last time they're dropping content on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So what they're doing is it's on YouTube once, and then you have to be a Daily Wire member. But I saw the trailer for it. It feels a lot like Suicide Squad. But it does have Carrie Elways in it, from Princess Bride. I don't know if you know Carrie Elway.
Oh yeah, he played Robin Hood and Men in Tights and stuff.
Yeah, he's in it, and and then a bunch of people I didn't recognize, but it's like a weird. It's sort of a superhero spoof. It just from the trailer, I did see the trailer.
Here's my thing I've understood about the Daily Wire. Now they are producing a couple movies, but I've heard a couple of the other movies that they're bringing in. Maybe this is one of them that they've just bought.
Right, that's true. In fact, the movie The Shut-In, I only know this because the screenwriter, we had a quick conversation.
Or bought for proper English, sorry.
Right. They bought it. Like these are movies that got produced and we're looking for distribution, and they kind of, I think, fit what the Daily Wire is looking for, So, in fact, Melanie Toast, who's the screenwriter who did Shut-In, that movie, her script was on the blacklist for years. So I'm not sure if you're aware what the blacklist is, but it's basically scripts that are given this sort of seal of approval of this should get made. So it was like,
are you talking about the most the famous unproduced list? Because there's a blacklist and there's the famous unproduced list.
This isn't famous unproduced. This is the blacklist is I mean, you can look it up. The guy who created it did a TED talk about why he started this thing, which was basically like, we recommend these scripts because they've been overlooked. Right. And so her screenplay was on that blacklist. So but what's unfortunate is that I've noticed some people I know in the space of covering movies won't cover Daily Wire's content because of their political views, which is
for them failing to be communist.
Yeah, I guess it's just I couldn't believe it. Like, so I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. It's a side quest we probably shouldn't go on.
They're only going to be able to ignore them for so long, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This is a movie that was made that, are you saying you're going to ignore this woman's hard work that she put into the screenplay, Melanie Toast? I I think that is just utterly small-minded, and it's political bigotry, and it's ridiculous. I mean, the Hyperions just looks like a cheap, fun superhero movie. I do plan to see it, but yeah, I'm annoyed at some of the elitist attitudes of others in the space of covering film. That's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, we can say it safe, but yeah,
I mean,
I think we all agree on.
I can see part of it as far as like if you're part of the media, I can see a bias in not wanting to cover it because Daily Wire is also another paper, and who the fuck do they think they are making movies? Well, I can see we're not going to cover those. But the problem is what you're saying though, Chris. It's not that. It's the other thing. It's because they see them as a paper that's going against the narrative, and so they're definitely not going to cover it, especially Ben Shapiro being involved in all that business. So yeah,
right.
So you're absolutely right. Like if they actually
in reality, though, and this is what I wish that they would understand, that it's an established Hollywood producer that is
exactly
yeah.
Well, and that's where I was saying about the whole point about the movies being
name.
bought. It's the guy who did Drag Through Concrete or whatever, and I can't remember the other movie he did.
Craig Zahler, and
Thank you.
He did Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk,
and that thing, the Rumble on Cell Block, something or another. Very great. They're great films. They really are.
Yeah. Then Joey says, do you think the Streisand effect and lazy rage click culture will replace ads and trailer for marketing new content? It's cheap. Wow. Okay. So lazy rage click culture is one thing. What's the Streisand effect was which thing again?
It's the Streisand effect is when you try to conceal something, and ironically, when you try to conceal it, everyone wants to go and check it out. Like back in the 80s, when someone accidentally filmed Barbara Streisand's house in the background or something, and she made such a huge fuss that everyone came to see it.
Gotcha. Okay, I couldn't remember which one the Streisand effect was. Wow, this is a loaded question. As far as to replace the ads and trailer marketing, no.
Yeah.
As far as the news wise thing, that's slowly happening, but to me, it's
backfiring.
It is, and we kind of come up against a lot of this kind of stuff in the business that we do here, and that's one thing that Andre and I strive on a daily basis is to remember to not take things into a direction that would be the equivalent of like the National Enquirer, kind of stuff. And we never ever get into like relationships or anything like that. But as far as like the Streisand effect, we're seeing that in live action with Star Trek right now.
Well, and you did see it in action with the Galactic Star Cruiser. Remember how it's the same thing. And I'm looking at it right now and going, you know what? I'm not going to do because again, my channel's not necessarily oriented around such things. But I'm not going to do a video on this trailer that we just watched. I'm not. I'll talk about it if my audience questions me. But we have channels that are dedicated to doing some great Star Wars coverage. Look at the channel right here, right? Nick and Coach do a wonderful job of that. So, I kind of stay within the lanes that I'm in. So I'm not going to add to this one way or another, and I think you're going to get some very nuanced takes from both Nick and Coach when it comes to this trailer and this show overall. So as long as we don't help out and help market bad things, I think that's also something we have to pay attention to. So there's in response to that, I'd say you're gonna have the Streisand effect, whether you want it or not, and it's usually not positive attention. It usually doesn't bode well. I mean, you can look at what I call counter advertising for things like what was the Terminator thing that came out, Dark Fate, right? Yeah. That thing flopped. You had Charlie's Angels.
Now what culture?
Yeah.
We found out recently that Dark Fate was the biggest flop of last year.
You're kidding me. By how much?
I don't know. It lost like $200-300 million. It was a lot.
Holy cow.
Like at least close to 200, I think it was.
That's an ouchie. Well, you have to remember, I mean, even the prior to last quarter, Disney had dropped or were like $83 million in the red from their theatrical releases from the last.
Well, Disney had almost a decade string of having the biggest bomb of the year.
Yeah.
Damn near they pulled a hat trick anyway there.
Yeah.
But as far as the Streisand effect, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because actually we kind of have that problem when we're also reviewing and reporting on stuff, right? Like we stop and ask ourselves, especially when it comes to things like Star Trek, is it even worth bringing attention to it? Right? Like at this point, it's like, is it getting more attention because of us? And to go with your last part of the comment here, yeah, it's cheap. And there are a lot of people moving to this kind of content instead of watching all these streaming services. You've seen some people respond to it just that way in the chat themselves, where they'll wait for not just our personal reviews, but a lot of people in the YouTube spheres reviews before even checking shit out anymore because they don't want to waste their money and time. Yeah. It's a lot less time waster to listen to somebody's 15-20 minute hour review than it is to actually go watch this entire series.
Yeah, and that's another reason to check out Film Threat, check out Echo Base Network, and check out Midnight's Edge, because they save you a buttload of time. So there you go.
Culture Casino.
Yeah,
but it's funny that Chris did show up, because I did bring him up earlier, because we were talking about making our own entertainment with this lack of good entertainment out there, and I point out how you always point out there is lots of original stuff out there. You just got to find it, basically.
Yeah. There is a lot of sifting through indie stuff to find stuff that's worthwhile, but it's there. And I like the fact that outlets like the Daily Wire are just deciding, well, we're just going to do it. We're not going to wait for people in Hollywood to do this. But I will say this: I have heard rumblings from friends of mine who are working in the industry. I'm talking about for studios, that there's a shift. There's been a shift of people looking at like maybe stuff shouldn't be, at least the shift is more along the lines of maybe stuff shouldn't be so woke or so overtly woke, is what the shift that I've heard. So I'd like to hear, this is just a few friends of mine are working. It's like, oh, I'm actually getting work again, or like things of things are, the tide is turned, is what I'm saying. So,
hearing rumblings, and then there was the Chapek memo, but then today at the investor thing that Culture was listening to, he said they're going to be sticking with the Reimagining Tomorrow business. So there's still some of it there, but I think you're right, Chris, that I think at least on screen, once we start getting to some newer entertainment stuff that's not 2-3 years old, like the Batman.
Right, yeah, I forget.
Yeah, it's Chris about that, because you just said that you said two conflicting things there. One is that the tide is beginning to turn, and the other is you heard that they want to be at least not this woke, which means just a little bit woke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which to me is really insidious.
Yeah, they want to have
the Batman territory.
Sorry, they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like they still want to like placate, the Twitter mobs, while at the same time, like let's make more broadly mainstream entertainment rather than agenda-filled entertainment. I feel that that tide is turned, where people are at least it's something that's being discussed. So, but then there were issues with the Batman, which have been long discussed before. But
did you see my review of it?
I haven't. If it's a separate video, I'll just go to your channel.
It's a separate video, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll check it out.
I mean, you heard a lot of his points, but yeah, when we were talking about, but we're hoping to have a roundtable with you soon, Chris.
Yeah, and
you can work it out.
We'll get to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll talk some more Batman then. But I'm with Andre on that. To me, it's more insidious when it's just a little bit there, even sometimes more so, because at least when it's like blatant as fuck, you can at least point at it and go, yeah, I can see it.
Exactly. Honestly, I prefer it to be blatant and in your face, rather than it being as insidious as it was in The Batman. And the more I think about it, the more insidious do I think that movie was, because it was more covert, but it was still propaganda, pure propaganda.
Well, and I've had yet to anybody really argue with my point when I said that basically Bruce Wayne, Batman's Antifa, Catwoman's representing BLM, and Riddler's basically an incel Proud Boy. So
I still don't even know y'all's. Well, I know Culture's not even going to watch it, and I know your thoughts, Tom. But I haven't seen Andre's video, and Chris, I don't know
I'll
if
check
you.
it out. I know many people who because it's like funny because there are some people in the chat who are like, "You're stupid, shut up," and like you're wrong. But no one is like really
not arguing
the points. I saw like someone made like a call out video. Maybe I'll check that out or something. But no one has really argued the points. And I've gotten so many mails of people saying, "Whoa, that was an amazing video. That really opened my eyes." So
well, I think a lot of people are afraid to after what happened to Ryan, and that's where I said, like, I mean, I was pretty like in my spoiler-free review, I was pretty nice to the movie. Because I waited until the next day when we got into spoilers when I really broke it down. And because I knew that I was kind of glad when Ryan said something. I'm like, good, I'm not alone. I wasn't the only one who saw it, right? And then I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Chris, until we got on the show. But like, I really wanted to hear your response too. And there was a few things I wanted to run by Script Doctor and stuff before we got kind of into it too, because I just love his point of view on the character, period. Because I feel like he's somebody who has a real good grasp of the character. But yeah, just ever since I've thought about it more and more, like I'm liking it less and less, and I'm seeing more of the problems with it. But I want to see it again just to kind of maybe, I don't know if I should, but because
I've only seen it once.
And what did you think, Nick? Because we didn't really get to hear your response. Sorry.
Me and Coach kind of were on the same page, and we kind of gave it the same score Ryan gave it. We gave it an 8 out of 10. So the way I looked at it is this is definitely not a Batman movie for everybody, and it's a very different kind of Batman that's ever been on screen before. But for me personally, I like a lot of that dark stuff. You know, I like Seven, I like The Crow, and I got a lot of feels from those type movies in this movie. Now, there's definitely stuff in the movie that I didn't like. You know, towards the ending and all that, how the ending goes. I won't get into spoilers. I don't know how many people in chat seen it or not, but once we started getting towards the ending, it was kind of head scratching a little bit, but overall, I actually thought it was a pretty good Batman, but it was a different Batman. You know, I wouldn't really compare it with like the other on-screen Batman movies that we got because it's just so different. And that was kind of my take on it.
Yeah, well, you liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
I went from a 6 out of 10 to down to a 5 is what my final IMDb score was.
Yeah. I would say I agree completely, Chris, with your assessment, though. The first half of the movie, that is a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah, the beginning of it.
That's why it upset me more, is because that beginning is so good. And then once you get into
that's what bothers me. The beginning is like the best beginning of any Batman movie ever.
It's this amazing first half. But
I think you're being overtly generous with what you gave the second half.
Yeah, the second half I said was a 5 out of 10, but
I think that's generous.
Yeah, well, you know, it's Batman, so for me, I'm fine. I like it.
I mean, I can see why people like it, though. That's the thing, because I keep comparing it to Fury Road.
But it feels like a different movie, and that this sort of like we have to have a big ending that involves like the destruction of Gotham City with these seawalls, which we didn't even know were there. You know, like, oh, so there's seawalls, I guess. Okay, well, that's it. That's Gotham for you. But yeah, then it like descends into this sort of, you know, Hollywood spectacle ending, which I'm sure was a studio note, you know, typical the movie didn't need. The movie, the way the movie was paced and the way it was set up in the beginning is it wasn't going to be that kind of movie. And it seems like Matt Reeves, you know, back was against the wall, and he sort of kept all the studio notes out of the first half of the movie and then integrated all the notes he got from the studio into the second half. So it's like the first half feels like the movie Matt Reeves set out to make, and the second half feels like what Matt Reeves was forced to do by the studio. And it those movies don't match. And also it didn't need to be 3 hours. You could really have cut. And my understanding is from sources I have, the original script was 260 pages, which is to me like, you know, are you making the Batman series or are you making Batman
I'll
movie?
tell you this, Chris. I mean, I know, you know, I have a source or two from Warner that I usually check in with, and you know, from what we heard, basically outside of the studio pressuring him into Pattinson, they gave Matt Reeves free reign. Like it was almost like a fuck you to Snyder and Affleck.
Really?
From what I heard.
That's what I think too. I don't see any studio notes in there.
But
and that's the other thing is he got that 3-hour cut on top of it all. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Well, it feels like maybe it's not necessarily studio notes, but he was placating and giving the studio more of what it wanted, which is why they made his movie. And Pattinson, I think, is very good. I mean, I actually do think he works as a different kind of Batman, if this is the direction.
Well, I'm going to say one thing on that note. Let's just say that the timing of J.J. Abrams' big deal with Warner and DC, I don't think it's coincidental that Matt Reeves got that job at that time.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then additionally, what's weird is I'm sure everyone saw that DC trailer that preceded it, like showing like, here's all the movies we're coming out with this year. Which is odd because most of them were things that, are from the Snyderverse. So is Flash going to be the end of the Snyderverse and the future is Pattinson's Batman and dreary Gotham? Like,
well, see, Pattinson's Batman is supposed to be like a year one thing, right? Or not year one. I mean, Earth one thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I got that vibe from it for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think I don't care about the Flash,
but the project did start as Ben Affleck's Batman, and it did transform into Matt Reeves. Right. And as far as I know, the only pressure he ever got, because they initially wanted, because they had done some, this is just what I had heard, they were down to Nicholas Hoult and Pattinson, and the studio was really heavy on Pattinson because of his following, to the point where they were even thinking about bringing in what's-her-face to play Catwoman before Zoe Kravitz. Kristen Stewart, yeah.
Terrible.
They were in heavy talks of thinking of doing that, yeah.
Oh, that's awful. That's awful. I'm glad that didn't happen. So
that was the rumor anyway. And yeah, SXHBK, speaking of Pattinson, did you know that Batman is the world's greatest detective?
Yeah.
It's like, how possibly much dumber can you sound than that? Right. But Blue-Eyed Roof Korean says, independent rapper Tom McDonald released a video yesterday detailing mainstream music CEOs and Billboard are suppressing his sales to keep him out. I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I saw that video. It's just, he just goes through the, sort of business machinations behind the scenes and them coming up with a way to disqualify his sales, which is, I mean, it's so typical. That's why when I read the trades, I always look at it like, it's great. Most of this might be true, but it's for the most part just press release BS or a narrative that's being put out by the studios and whatnot. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Corruption in the music industry. Who to thunk? So there you go.
Don't everybody talk at once. Andre must have stepped away.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm just not familiar with the story.
Yeah.
No, but as far as the music industry goes, it's fucked. I wouldn't be surprised. It is.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You want to talk about a mafia?
Yeah,
the music industry is a fucking mafia.
It is.
And Tom McDonald released that video yesterday. He's right. I watched it while I was traveling, and he's not wrong. I mean, it's not, and he says it's not really Billboard's fault. In the course of the video, he says that they get their data from an independent company, and that independent company won't recognize that they're physical media sales when they sell a CD or whatever. They don't believe them when they say they've sold something physically. So they're not being properly represented in Billboard. And Billboard's, we can't help it. We get our data from elsewhere. Very strange. But the music industry's always been full of corrupt.
Oh, it's shady as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, look at the deal with the artist deal for ASCAP. Am I saying that right, Tom?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
no, they don't pay shit.
Well,
this is a whole fucking you want to get me started on something, you don't want to get me started on this shit. This is some shit that I will fucking break the fuck down for you right now. Like the radio stations, what they pay ASCAP don't pay nobody. All that money gets taken by the fucking record companies. The fucking artists don't see a dime. Do you know what they see off these streaming services? They're lucky to see like literal fractions of a penny for every play. Like, they get next to nothing. That's why they have to tour. That's the only way they might make money. Merchandise is the only way they make money. Why do you think all these bands keep re-releasing all their classic albums and all these big elaborate box sets? Because that's the only way they can fucking make money anymore, because the music industry is fucking trash.
Yeah.
They have destroyed it. More people buy used records than buy new shit now.
Yep.
CDs had a huge jump last year because of Adele and Taylor Swift.
Well, and that's why you're having this huge resurgence in ownership transactions for rights, because they recognize that the only thing that they can continue to market are these older catalogs of songs. So you're seeing
the older artists know they're not making any money, so that's why they're selling all their shit
for
right
hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's, look at the Sting deal recently. It's bananas. But that,
you want to know how
that's a
bad the
whole
music
other
industry
stream.
goes? Just go check out the story of Prince. There's more than enough there, and then check out Michael Jackson.
Well,
Michael Jackson, that's I actually was talking to a few people about that. There's a story there, I tell you. And Sony might have had him killed.
Wow, that's crazy. But Morris Day can't even use the time because of how things are wrapped up with the Prince estate.
And I know that's some pretty serious accusations, but there's some trails. Follow the money, kids. Blue-eyed Roof, and it all has to do with the music industry.
Yeah, and I'm right there with Tom, because when I was out on tour with my buddy who was signed with Universal Records, that was the same deal during that time. And he had racked up a red balance with the studio for, it was like over $1 million, but of course, when we were out on the road on these tour buses that were costing the studio tons and tons of money, and they were of course paying for everything, they never recouped any of that. And then my buddy, Francis Ruiz, who's the drummer for Buck Cherry, they run into the same thing. And that's why they're touring. I think they just got finished up with a Carnival cruise tour that they did. But yeah, the music industry is just jacked up. And that's actually why I left the music industry and went back to my career as a systems administrator, because I was like, I'm going to end up being, playing, carnivals or college bars, when I'm 40, I don't want to be doing that, I completely understand what Tom's saying and agree 100%.
Yeah, the music business is well and truly messed up, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Chris, I know that you probably have limited time, but before you go, sure. We had a couple of super chats that were directed at you.
Oh, cool.
So let us go through those right away. Let's see what I can find here. I saw there were some. I just have to get a full track of exactly where they are. Yeah, here we go. Hey, Tom and John Apocalypse says for £1.79. Has Chris seen Psycho Gorman? Does he recommend?
Strongly recommend that movie. Love that film. I believe it's on Shudder right now, but you can also pick it up on VOD or rent it. It's fantastic. It's a movie that's wrong in so many ways, and I love it. I mean, that's Psycho Gorman is one of those gems that I would recommend, rather than talking about the latest, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars failure. I'd rather, basically help get out there that, hey, there are other movies to see, right? You don't have to be stuck with, all of this entertainment that just continues to disappoint. There's new content being made, new movies being made that are worthwhile, and that's one of them. So thank you, John Apocalypse, for bringing that up. Love Psycho Gorman.
And then we have T-Neil89, who says for $5, Chris, he said that more machine than man comment in Return of the Jedi, though, after he got killed by the black robot.
But how did he know that was Darth Vader? You know what I mean? I feel like there's I guess he could sense the Force, but you're reading stuff into it. You're reading something into it, So I don't know. I think that, and you're right. Thank you for that correction, T-Neil89. I think it has the opportunity to connect some dots in a way that will, rarely do these shows come out and make, say, something from the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy better. I can't think of any case where that's happened, where you see like, hey, we've made something new and it's expanded upon or made it even more meaningful. Say the sacrifice of Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. If anything, all of the new shows and movies diminish things from the originals, and you cannot do that. You cannot do that. That is not going to endear you with the audience. And I think that's pretty much all we've seen so far is, the sequels, whatever it is, they just make, the original trilogy look worse. And that's not what they should be doing at all. And I think Kenobi maybe is a step in the right direction. If that was the intention going forward, was we're going to make, when you watch the original trilogy now, you'll have the story of Kenobi in your head and it'll make it even better. And I hope that that's the case. I have one minor complaint, which is small, which is the names of these shows are so lazy. The show is called Obi Wan Kenobi, right? I remember being excited about the titles of, Star Wars films and what they meant. When we heard the Phantom Menace, well, who is the Phantom Menace? Is it Anakin? Is it, Chancellor Palpatine? I mean, who is it? Like those titles were exciting and interesting, and Disney, as soon as they got to a certain point, they're just like, nah, they dropped the like episode titles. They didn't like that. And then the titles of the movies are incredibly, uninspired. So I would have liked to have seen like a better title, or maybe those will be in the episode titles. I don't know, but Obi Wan Kenobi, that's the name of the series. Okay, fine. To me, I call lazy. Same thing with the Batman. Like, all right, fine, it's the Batman. It's not the Batman something. Like, it sucks. I think that it just shows we're in a place where corporate studio filmmaking, television creation is just this, creatively bankrupt. I'm sorry, that's my rant. I get one per show when I'm
No, you're allowed, and you also gave us a recommend, and since that we kind of went like seamlessly into the rant.
Chris recommends.
So check out Psycho Gorman. Jack White recommends manga and anime to you, though.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, every time I discover something new, I mean, like not like Attack on Titan is originally new, but I actually went so far as to watch the live action Attack on Titan, which I thought was really good. I mean, it's this part 2. It's a 2-part movie. The first part is great, and then the second part is not so great. But what I like about it, it's Japanese made Attack on Titan live action sort of version of the story. And what I love about it is it's banned in certain Asian countries. I won't say which ones, but it's made in Japan. So make it,
Yeah, you mean the live action one, right?
The live action one is banned.
I enjoyed the hell out of that.
I loved it, and I think part of it has to do with your government sort of keeping the main populace in fear and sort of lying about things. Like I think that's a story that other countries might not like if that got out there. You know what I mean? But that's kind of the thread in
especially a country that has its population behind a huge freaking wall.
Exactly.
That the myth says is visible from space. Although that's a total myth.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately I got to run, but if there's any other super chats directed toward me,
I haven't seen any so far, unless one dropped in at the last second here. I'm just going to check that real quick. But
Chris, check out Roroni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay, great. Thank you for those recommends. I always could use I mean, there's a lot of knowledge speaking on this live stream right now, but boy, not everybody knows everything. So always good. And so I got to take off, but I want to say, like, hail to the chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on. Thank you, Andre. Tom.
Well, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And that reminds me, Chris, I'm I'm going to send you the Norwegian remake of Kill Bill. I'm just would love to hear what you think of it.
Oh, I'd love that. I
You
would
didn't
love
tell me there was a Norwegian remake of Kill Bill.
I'll send it to you as well.
Well, I
Please,
would
that's
say.
awesome. That's awesome. But thank you, everybody. I'm going to take off.
Check out Film Threat, and yeah, thank you, Chris, for being here. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks. I'm doing if you're interested, I'm doing a live stream tonight. We have a new show called Hollywood on the Rocks. It's
Nice.
our evening show, and we'll be talking about a bunch of stuff, but we have a guest on tonight, Christian Toto, who is the author of a book that I think everyone here would be very interested in called Virtue Bombs. And
I think I've heard of it.
it's an amazing book. It's basically how wokeness is destroying Hollywood. And Tom, you'll be very interested to hear, and Andre, that you guys are in the book. Like he mentions at the end.
I think you brought it up to us before.
Yeah.
He brings up a whole bunch of YouTubers saying, like, these are people that are talking about this. This isn't just like a crazy idea that a few people are espousing. Like this is an entire conversation that people are having. And so yeah, you definitely should check out the book. Maybe get Christian on your show.
Order it right away.
Awesome.
What time are you going live, Chris?
Going live at 5 p.m. Pacific time tonight. So pop on by.
Awesome. All right.
So that's 7 Central.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
Take care,
All right.
everybody. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Chris.
Take care.
And with that,
Later.
take care.
Later.
We
See you,
have
Chris.
quite
Bye.
a few more super chats to get to, but we also have one more story to get to, and that's right. Glade Ribbon says, "I can see Microsoft buying Paramount." That's right, kids. You heard that right. Bob Backish himself has hinted that Paramount is for sale. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Andre. Wasn't it about a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I said something to this effect.
Yeah, you did say something to this effect. Not just a week ago. I believe that we both have said something to this effect intermittently for the last few months. So I do believe that is worth one of our memes.
Yeah, speaking of Walton Goggins.
I fucking knew it! Oh!
Yes, as we hinted a few times throughout the show, Paramount CEO Bob Backish maybe hinted that Paramount is for sale, according to IndieWire. When I look at a company to buy, the single most important thing is, if you buy the company, can you use the content, Backish said. That's exactly what Paramount is doing. Amid an M&A frenzy that sees the biggest entertainment giants become even bigger, analysts and pundits alike have singled out Paramount Global, FKA, Viacom CBS, as a company that Amazon, Apple, or Comcast might want to buy to increase their streaming might. Paramount execs haven't publicly entertained that idea, but on Tuesday, CEO Bob Backish appeared to leave the door open, maybe more than just a crack. Speaking at the Morgan Stanley Technology and Media Telecom Conference, Backish doubled down on many points he made during the Marathon Paramount Investors Day presentation last month. He said his company, with its legacy business, franchises, and SVOD service, is a fit to become a streaming era leader, even though it's currently nowhere close to the top. However, he also used his time to point out something that was missed in some of the post-investment call narrative. The moves Paramount is making now not only bolsters its position as a standalone company, Backish said, it also makes them what he would consider an attractive acquisition target. When I look at a company to buy, we've done a bunch of smaller deals, particularly in Latin America, and you can rest assured we look at all the deals. The single most important thing is, if you buy the company, you can use the content. The answer typically is no, not for a while. Backish said during Morgan Stanley keynote, our investment strategy is increasing optionality because we're gaining more and more control over high quality content. And that goes right back to what I was saying before. And then it just goes on and on. He said that repatriating valuable content along with investing in new series will help fuel subscriber and revenue growth to eventually deliver TV media-like margins. As he noted, it also increases optionality, i.e. makes Paramount a desirable buy for shareholders and bigger fish alike. So there you go, kids. That's the short skinny of it. It's not a done deal, but I've been hearing for a while on the back burner that they've been thinking about it, or at least taking offers or open to offers. I heard Apple was sniffing around. What do you guys think about this? Let's start with Nick.
That would be insane if Microsoft bought Paramount. I mean, literally, like at what point in time would the government be coming in and stopping them from becoming a monopoly? I mean, they just bought or are in the process of buying Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like Microsoft's kind of getting their hands into a lot of everything, because, you know, the Xbox, they're wanting to be more than just a video game console. They're wanting it to be an entertainment system as well.
Yeah.
You know, they're wanting to put a lot of content out there, shows, movies, video games, tie-ins, freaking digital comic books and magazines, like all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I don't really know if much would change with Paramount if Microsoft bought it, but
I don't think Microsoft would. I would think that probably Apple would.
I can see Apple kind of, I don't
know.
They
mentioned Amazon here, but I think Amazon wouldn't be allowed to after buying MGM.
Yeah, between Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, the only reason I lean more towards Microsoft being a contender more is just because of the Xbox and the content they're wanting to try to put out there with it. But yeah, secondly, I could see Apple doing it before Amazon.
And I think Star Trek and a few of their other franchises would be a good fit for Apple.
That would be a very good fit.
Well, I mean, think about it this way, and maybe this hasn't crossed your guys' radar yet, but Apple just went out and bought the Friday night games and Friday day games for Major League Baseball in the United States. They just acquired some live sports. So, you know, the Apple has been trying to get their foot farther in the door. I mean, we've talked about this before as far as how, you know, media consolidation is going. And
well, they're a sleeping giant, right? Like they're not big yet at this point, but they're big in the other avenues. Exactly. Yeah. At any moment in time, they can just decide, you know what? We're just going to drop a couple $1 billion in fucking advertising, pick up a couple of big fucking shows and movies, and it wouldn't even put a dent in them. No. And tomorrow they could be competing with HBO Max and Amazon and Disney Plus, and we'd be like, holy shit, right? I mean, they just haven't really done that push yet. And I think that's kind of what they've been doing, is kind of hovering around Sony, hovering around Paramount, seeing who they think is going to fit the best. But I think Netflix might make a play for Sony. Is kind of what I've been hearing. But anyway, what do you think, Culture?
I think as much as it would be intriguing to see what Microsoft would do, first of all, the Microsoft deal with Activision Blizzard already has some people's radars and the necks on the back of the hairs on the back of their neck standing up, because you've got some major players that were maybe caught up in some insider trading, which is complete baloney sausage, but that they're starting to get some stories out there around it, maybe by a competitor that are trying to stop that deal from
competing. I mean, Apple already has a large stake in Disney. Would that be affected by this?
That's another good point. But I would rather Apple acquire them than Microsoft. I think for what. But to be fair, it's better if Paramount remains independent. It's better if it remains its own thing. It's better if we stop all these mergers and acquisitions. I mean, one of the things Nick brought up right at the beginning is, the thing that I talk about almost weekly on my channel, which is, antitrust and the monopolistic practices that are being employed by all these different entities.
I don't think we're going to be able to stop it. I mean, I personally don't think there's anything anybody can do to stop it. I think what we're looking at here is a very similar thing that happened in the late 90s going into the early 2000s. Yeah. And that was when all the independent companies, movie companies, got soaked up into the bigger companies. Great example is New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
Got, when it was under Ted Turner, Ted let Robert just do as he was doing. Yeah. As soon as he got bought out by Warner came in, that's when the shit hit the fan. Yeah. and I agree with you that no, that these companies that they should stay independent. No, they shouldn't be bought out by these big conglomerates. But I don't think we can stop it because Paramount and Sony are the only two left, really, that aren't really owned by some huge entity.
Well, and if you and again, I mean, and you know, the article here like says gives some options, and Comcast is not an option.
I don't think they can. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, acquisition would require too much break apart, you know, is not what you're going to pay the kind of money for Paramount for. So I think if you're looking at it, I think Apple would be the better choice, you know, and I think you're right. I think if Sony's goes anywhere, it might be Netflix. So we'll see.
Well, I thought, and here's another reason why I brought this up, like the whole sale thing, is the reason for them changing to Paramount and taking CBS out of the equation. They're going to split. They're going to split CBS off into its own thing again.
They have to. That's why they've been dividing it up.
Fucking you.
Yeah. It's been divided up, but they've been dividing it up all along. I mean, and again, I mean, this goes on the heels of the other announcement that I brought up today, and it's just, I feel like Paramount has been that one piece that we've been talking about for what 2 years now at this point. Going, this thing is gonna this is going to go somewhere. It can't exist. It can't exist as itself any longer. I mean, this was a bad idea to put this back together. The Viacom CBS thing was a bad plan. So
well, certainly the execution was. Yeah. I'd say it was 5 years too late was my point. Fragoff, yeah, Sony Electronics is a big company, but they're not a internet provider like Comcast and AT&T is. And Sony will sell. They won't sell like everything, but they'll sell the entertainment division.
Yeah, they'll keep the games and the electronics and all of that, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you know, and they've already moved. I mean, Sony Entertainment America, or whatever it's called. I mean, essentially is basically based in America at this point for the most part. So
Sony isn't nearly as big as they used to be, though. As Nevernall here says, not to be mean, but Sony is a huge entity. Since that, when do we expect a corporate equivalent of a Death Star to just a large company, huge entity size of a small galaxy? They're not nearly as big as Comcast or AT&T or Apple, for that matter. Sony is not nearly as big as they used to be. Their main thing now is the PlayStation. Now, back in the day, they used to be like the leader in electronics, but not so much anymore. I haven't even seen what their electronics line does anymore, but it's not that great.
I am a Sony fanboy. I have Sony TVs, PlayStation, their 4K Blu-ray players. I pretty much everything in my house is Sony.
But at the same time, my point is they're just not the size of Comcast or or anything like that.
Not at all.
And their main thing right now is the PlayStation. So, but yeah. So with that, Andre, what's your final thoughts on this?
We've been saying this for a while. I think a sale is probably going to happen over the course of the year, and I agree with many here that Apple seems like the most natural fit. But we'll see what happens. And that way, they wouldn't pay for just Star Trek, but they would get it with the whole package, with everything else. And for them, who've been trying and kind of failing a little bit, it would be a really good fit. Then it's a matter of what would they do with all of the properties that they just acquired. And of course, keep in mind, even if someone were to buy them, all the contracts that are there have to be honored or bought out. So I wouldn't expect like any changes overnight.
Yeah, and I'm curious which properties are where and what would be sold with the entity, because I believe
that's going to be so many lawyers are going to earn.
That's what I'm saying. Because, like, for instance, like SpongeBob and Ninja Turtles, I believe, are under the Nickelodeon copyright, even though they're technically under the umbrella of Paramount. Same thing with like Beavis and Butthead, for instance, is owned by MTV. You know, so is this sale going to include those things? That's what my question would be. And we had heard some shuffling around of some of the IPs, and there was some scratching of head going, why are they moving this shit over to CBS? Now it's starting to make more sense, and that's what I was kind of saying then. So we'll see. I don't know what's what and what they'd offer in the deal, but Bob Backus is saying what I was saying last week is all these announcements are Fugazi. They're just to fucking say, we got all this stuff that you can get going as soon as you buy us, because we don't have the money to get it going. Clearly.
Oh, and I mean, what are they worth right now? About $20 billion.
Don't matter. That investor thing last week was a fucking joke.
It was.
They got called out by, what was it, Variety and a few other places.
Yeah.
And we called out their Star Trek bullshit on top of a few other people. And that was just the Star Trek shit we called out on. Like, other places called them out completely. I think it was Variety that called them out. They're like that whole thing was a joke.
It wasn't the time to research absolutely everything, but there was plenty to call them out on. Let's put it that way.
And I mean, I've been kind of working in the background on some Paramount thing. Like, there's a lot going into this. Like, Paramount is a company that there's a history of this shit. So I'll get into that at a later time. But we've got some super chats to get caught up on here. Tina Bojan's in the house, and she says, "Happy birthday," or "Happy Barbie Day." Sorry, Happy Get Over It Day. Okay, it's Barbie Day too on top of it. And Happy Get Over It Day.
Like, are these actually real? Everything that they're
I don't
sending
know.
in?
I don't know if they're just doing.
I'm sure they must be real in some time. So
some of them might be. John Platt says just a little donation to keep the wheels turning. Well, thank you, John Platt. Appreciate that. And then Tennille says any soundtrack is better than Book of Boba Fett. No shit. That sounded like just a series of sneezes put through an auto tuner. And considering kind of the Mandalorian music had kind of started to grow on me, I was very disappointed in the Book of Boba Fett music.
Same here. I hated the music. Hated it.
Joseph,
I've forgotten it already.
Yeah, I could tell you, like, I can remember the Mandalorian music though. Joseph Citadino says, I've heard one of the Inquisitors was a woman of color. I'm shocked. I thought only white men can be villains. Yeah, we brought this up earlier. Nick was pointing out about the Imperial officer as well.
Yeah.
Well, as I always say, she may start out a villain, but give it to over the course of the series, and we shall see what happens.
That's the thing I don't understand about Disney. They had the perfect opportunity to feed into their bullshit here. Like, the Empire, the bad guys, are made up of nothing but white men. There's no aliens. There's no women. It's just a bunch of British men and an asthmatic white dude.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like, we've never seen anything but.
And well, you can't have that on screen now, even if they are villains.
And the stormtroopers, which I'm just going to go on a limb here. They all sound pretty fucking dumb and white to me.
Yeah, and I would be completely fine if they wanted to take that route and throw some white hate out there by making everybody on the Empire white, because that's how it's always been. And
that's what I'm saying. It plays right into their whole thing.
Yeah.
Because up until a point, we know they were clones, but then obviously they're just people in suits after a point. So, I mean, clearly the Empire has a type, let's say. And Finn didn't go along with that.
Nope.
And neither do half these women and stuff. But I know the Clone Wars opened that door up a little bit more. But no, I've always noticed that myself. It's like, hey, you could actually use that to the advantage. That goes with your narrative. But no, instead, and that's the weird thing. You notice that how often we can rewrite this woke shit better than them?
Yeah.
Even the subtle shit. It's just like, we can do a better job than you and even make it even woker.
They went against their agenda also when they made Finn, the one black guy, the janitor guy.
Exactly my point when I was bringing him up before is like, it's like, then you make the one, stereotype. Anyway, Darth Daddy's in the house. Speaking of Star Wars, Andre, the ending of Vikings is actually something I think you'd like as far as the new race swapped character. I feel it's very intentional.
Well, of course it's intentional, but to what end? I mean,
maybe that's what he's saying. He's like, watch it as far as so maybe now you will actually have to watch the whole thing before you
I'm probably gonna have to do that anyway.
Well, maybe if you can watch it in 1.5 speed. Is it on Netflix or what you got on over there?
Well, it's on Netflix, yeah.
If you watch it on your PC, you can watch it in fast speed. Steel Scout says IGN new trailer. Do you mean the if you mean the Obi-Wan trailer, we already got that because I know you sent this earlier. Otherwise, what's the new trailer IGN has? Let us know in the chat. You don't have to send another super chat. If you mean the Obi-Wan trailer, we already got it. Cool. Tennille says, as I recall, Tatooine causes premature aging. You're not wrong, because isn't technically Ewan McGregor the same age that Alec Guinness was when he played Obi-Wan originally now?
Yeah, I heard that.
Because it's like that's also the irony with Cobra Kai is that Ralph Macchio is actually the same age.
That's nothing. My favorite example there is in the Exorcist prequel, in which Stellan Skarsgård plays like a 40 years younger version of Father Merrin,
right,
while being 10 years older than Max von Sydow was when he was playing the
there's
old
an asterisk
Father
to
Merrin.
that though, because Max von Sydow played that in old makeup anyway.
Yes, he was in makeup. That's like the thing. But even when you look at Max von Sydow when he was young, when he was in his 20s, he looked like a 60-year-old man. Even then.
Oh, I know that is his greatest performance, and I didn't even know he was wearing makeup until years later. Like until like the DVD came out and I saw like the making of shit. Like the many times I saw it on TV and video as a kid, I never paid attention to that. Like I just thought he was that old. You know what I mean? Like I just never really. The movie just sucks you in. You don't think about it.
Yeah, that's a problem with high definition, and suddenly you can tell more than you should be able to.
Well, not really. I just found out during the making of, they talk about how they aged him up to make him look older for no reason other than it's an older character, but they wanted him to play the part. But he was barely older
because they wanted an old and frail Father Merrin who looked like he could die any moment, but they didn't want an actor who actually was so old and frail that he could.
Well, that's because William Friedkin ain't fucking dumb, because he knew goddamn well that if he had an old guy in there, he'd kill him. Oh, that movie! I tell you, there's a movie that needs a making of the movie, but William Friedkin would probably retroactively get arrested for child abuse. But yeah, anyway, Tennille 89, yeah, that's pretty funny about the premature aging. Speaking of, Mecha J says, if Obi-Wan turns out to be really good, do you think it will renew interest in Star Wars from the fans, or is it too late at this point? I think you'll get some resurgence. I think that the Luke moment showed that there's still a thirst for good Star Wars, or people want Star Wars. I don't think it's past that point yet, but this could be the breaking point. As I was saying earlier, I think Nick's right, and I think Culture brought it up too, and so on, that a lot of people will tune in right away. Whether or not they stick around, I think Andre compared it to a Picard thing. It could be to where we see, a big portion of the audience say, "Fuck this noise," and check out halfway through.
Yeah,
we saw that with Boba Fett. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. Yeah, we totally saw that with Book of Boba Fett.
Which, from what I remember from the ratings, Book of Boba Fett was somewhere in between Mandalorian and closer to Hawkeye with ratings.
Yeah, the very last episode had more views than the end of Mando season 2, but I attribute that a lot to the build up of that final season of Mando season 2. And on top of that, the episode before it had Luke and Grogu in it. There was no Boba Fett in it, and people wanted to see what he was going to choose, or if Luke was going to come back for that final episode and help in that fight. There was rumors of Han Solo coming in there, so
right.
Everybody was tuning into that last episode. That doesn't mean that.
Okay, so I heard it didn't. I guess I must have misheard then, or misread, or did it start out low and go higher? Because I thought they said they had about 1.5 million viewers to start with.
No. You're correct as far as the show goes, but that last episode did really well in viewerships.
Okay.
Out of all the other episodes.
Because I'll tell you, if that's an actual number, that first number, considering the amount of subscribers they have, that's bad. And Andre can tell you that from a point of view of obviously a channel owner. That, like, granted, it's a little bit different scenario than us putting out videos. It's Disney's got a vast collection of things and franchises and all that
Mhm.
shit. But when your key A-list franchise is pulling in that small of an audience in comparison to how many people actually have the platform, that's a problem.
Yeah.
When that's supposed to be your Stranger Things, your Cobra Kai, your what have you, top, Netflix type shows,
Yeah.
which get 20, 30 million viewers.
Speaking of Stranger Things, isn't that supposed to come out this year?
I think they are the finale of that or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
I think it's supposed to be the last bit of it. But yeah, Trenchman says, if Paramount really goes for sale, I think it already is, my friend, will the Halo movie rights be sold, or as the live action show be a separate entity? I believe since it's under a different production company, they just have like a license deal, if I'm not mistaken. Because doesn't Microsoft own the Halo rights?
Yeah, here's the thing. That what would be sold are the movie rights, like the license for the movie. That would just follow right along with Paramount. Because if they just buy Paramount wholesale, then as far as the Halo movie is concerned, nothing has changed. It is still being distributed by Paramount.
The TV show, but yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, fine. The TV show, it's still being distributed by Paramount.
Or are they doing a movie too?
And whatever, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. The point is that nothing would change. It would still be under license to Paramount, and that Paramount changes owner. That has nothing to do with the contracts. The contracts will have to be honored unless someone buys something out. So if it were to be or Paramount were to be acquired by, say, Apple, then yes, you would have Microsoft's Halo, their Xbox exclusive, be on Apple Network. That's one way that could happen.
It could, but it's hard to say. And then ActionCom says, what is Obi-Wan's relation to Luke at 10 years of age? When we first saw Luke and Obi-Wan, Obi projected warmth and not brooding cynicism. And clearly Luke knows of him because he calls him Old Ben. So I'm sure they cross paths at some point, but I have a hard time. I'll have a hard time if they actually have like this one-on-one adventure together. That would be too much. Like, I like the whole idea of him being peripheral, right? Like, if Owen gets involved, that's one thing. That's fine, because then we need a reason for Owen to be the way he is about Obi-Wan. But I really don't think that Luke and Obi-Wan should cross paths outside of a hello or a minor introduction, because at that point they get too much of a relationship going. So then it feels weird when they see each other later on, because then you got to go off of the way that they respond to each other in A New Hope, and I hope they pay attention to that.
Yeah, because Luke's like, when he talks about him in A New Hope, he's like, yeah, old Benny's, kind of strange old hermit, sort of like, he knows
Never
of
really
him, obviously.
knew him though, but
yeah, but he's not. It's not like they're buddies and they chat on a regular basis or anything.
He makes him sound like that old guy or that old lady, who's in that house on the end of the block that you don't go near.
Stay off my grass, you kids.
Exactly.
He seems like the local village idiot, more or less.
Right. And I mean, but you also have that thing where, like, with Doc Brown, like Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale said that the whole thing with Doc Brown is, he's that town crazy that everybody tells all the kids to stay away from. And of course, the first thing they do is go peek in his garage. And that's how Marty met him. Right. Yep. Like, they kind of figure this whole idea is that, everybody told him to stay the fuck away from him. And Marty, of course, got, his curiosity got the better of him. And he just finds out he's just this wacky scientist guy. And it's kind of the way I see it, is like Luke's just hears, you stay away from that guy. He's just an old weirdo or whatever, and shit like that kind of thing. But anyhow, it'll be interesting to see how they play it. I think that a lot of people have different opinions on it. Steel Scout sending him more. You better be careful. You're not going to have any money for gas. They should have went 100 years or so, then started a new story. What is wrong with writing new story with new stories and new characters? Exactly. Same thing with Star Trek. We've said this so many times before, and TNG and other shows prove that you can do it, and people will even reluctantly eventually accept it. I mean, especially if it's good, right? Like TNG won people over. They didn't have any connections in TNG to the original series. There isn't one character in there goes, yeah, my grandpa, Spock, You know, it's like you don't have any of that shit. And it was still one of the more beloved series of all time because it created characters that people fell in love with, and it took the time to get us to know them, and it didn't rely on all this other bullshit other than it's Star Trek, right? Yeah. So you can do the same thing with Star Wars. I don't see a problem with that. Set us in a place where we don't have to have all these things that we've seen before. It doesn't have to have Darth Vader, doesn't have to have Yoda, doesn't have to have Luke even. I mean, just give us something. That's kind of why I gravitated towards The Mandalorian. Because, you know, it was the stuff that it wasn't like every week was like, oh, we've got so-and-so from episode 3 showing up. Oh, we've got, you know, Luke again. Like, until Luke showed up, there really wasn't a lot of, you know, characters popping in there that we've seen before, other than Boba Fett and Luke, right? And then until Ahsoka and all that kind of stuff. That's the thing, is season 2 kind of went off the rails for me. I didn't really get into all that stuff as much, because for me, it was like, started feeling like memberberry shit.
Yeah,
I liked it better when it was just doing its own thing, being original, kind of staying away from other things and just having fun doing its own thing. Anybody else agree, disagree? I know we had a
no, I agree.
Late,
yeah. They introduced a lot of new characters, new locations, planets that you've never heard of,
right?
Locations we've never seen on screen before. So I'm with you. I like that aspect of it, but unlike you, I also like the member berries in season 2.
I do too sometimes. My problem is quit attaching characters to other characters because it makes the world smaller.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I like it better when they find ways to bring characters in, even if it's just a cameo. It feels a lot more natural than trying to make this grand connection between all these characters and shit. Kind of like what the Lord of the Rings is doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. I agree with you, Steel Scout, and thank you for the support. Daniel is here again and says tisk tisk time, which is, or whatever, however you make that noise. Shadiversity debunked nunchucks. Do your homework and watch numerous videos destroying them as a valid weapon. Look, I'll accept the argument on martial arts, but and I'll agree with you that a nunchuck can't stop a bullet. But you come at me and see what happens. I'll nunchuck
Tom, I got the
fuck
better
out of you.
argument for you. Bruce Lee used nunchucks.
No
they must
shit.
be good for something.
Yeah, watch that scene, man. Like, I'll fuck some motherfuckers up with some nunchucks.
Yeah, Bruce Lee was bad. Like, I always wanted to learn how to use nunchucks.
There are some YouTube videos that will take you through but they have a warning that the nunchucks are frequently more dangerous for the person using them than the person.
Yeah, I can totally see that being the case.
Yes, you have to know how to fucking use them. That is a big deal. I will agree with that point as far as them being a weapon. If you know how to use them, they're pretty fucking lethal. You can kill somebody with them. But if you could kill yourself with them if you're not careful too. So yes, as somebody who's actually been practicing, somebody who's practiced nunchucks for well over 30 years, yes.
So can you do all that fancy shit, Tom, with the
pretty
twirling?
Close? I can do some of it. I haven't kept up on it as much as I should have. But
before we move on, though, I do believe that both Cultured and Nick have to drop out here soon.
I think we got Nick here for a little bit longer, I think, but he said he has to leave. But yeah,
I gotta be logged into work in 10 minutes. I'm gonna let the dogs out and grab something to eat real quick also. I would just want to thank you guys for the invite, for inviting me on today. It's always a privilege and honor to be on here with you guys, so thank you for that. Thank you to everybody in the chat for the B-Day wishes, and like I said, we'll be going live tonight 8 Central. So I'll probably be over on Chris Gore's stream at 7, and then we'll go live at 8 sharp for our B-Day bash, and the Kenobi trailer breakdown. Mm-hmm. And we'll probably have pop-ins and have people jump in and stuff during the chat. But it's always a pleasure being on here with you guys, and thanks for having me.
Well, happy birthday, man.
Thanks.
Happy birthday, Nick.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
Happy birthday again.
Thanks, Andre.
Script, you got to leave yet, or you got a few more minutes?
Yes, Culture has to leave.
Or Culture, Jesus Christ, I did it again.
That's all right, man. I don't mind. I love being compared to somebody of that level of brilliance.
Oh, it's you two are between you and Mike and him. It's like,
yeah, I know we all hang out together, but no, I do have to step out. I had a great time as always. I know you guys have to finish up some super chats. Final thoughts. Star Wars is still broken, and I'm not sure when it's going to get fixed. Aside from that, I've got 3 or 4 more shows left today. So I
know how you feel, and I have no idea if we're even going to have a 4K for you because we have a video to drop. So
yes, we do.
I think we're going to do that instead, unless some super duper 4K news drops. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. There hasn't been any major news. So if Valiant's listening right now, you got the night off.
Ooh, that's good.
We're going to be dropping a video here in a little bit. But let's get through these super chats. But Culture Casino, thank you so much for being here, man. Take care of yourself, brother. I'll see you soon.
Love
All right. Take care. Captain Trek is in the house. Maybe he still is. Hopefully he's still here because he's making fun of my English. What was the last thing you bought in Tom? I know. I corrected myself, though, at least. And that's why Andre's here. He speaks better English than I do usually. So
it's so funny when people say that.
Except for a couple of things I should have caught in your recent video, but it doesn't matter. They're not that big of a deal.
Yeah, well.
EVA Unit 4A says, FYI, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was very much boosted in its first season by Streisand Effect. Critics shamed, yet drew more people in.
Oh, that's what you meant. I see.
I gotcha. Okay. Thermination 2011 says Kenobi will be strong woman this year. I hope you're not. I hope you're wrong, but I am afraid you're right. That's what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense, yes. I think I said it correctly. Tennille says, so they want to have their cake and fuck it too. Yes, they do like to do that. Tina Bojan sends in another 5 and says, speaking of a Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro posted a really well done review of the Batman. I think he nailed it in terms of identifying the primary issues. I didn't see his full review, but I seen his reaction to it, and it seemed like it was in line with Andre and I. So yeah, maybe.
I approved of his review. I mean,
read it?
We saw different things. I saw things that he didn't point out, but he saw things that I did not. But now when he pointed it out, I see exactly what he meant.
Well, and I also know there was a couple things after the fact that we didn't get in the video that you and I discussed that you're like, shit, I wish we but yeah, we'll talk about it on the round table. Tennille says, not so. I grew up around wise guys in New York as a kid. They keep their heads down. The music industry is loud, dumb, obnoxious, and okay. Point taken, Tennille. But I will say that they use mafia-like tactics. Okay, does that work? Is that better? And you want to talk about gatekeeping industry? Yeah, it's the music industry. Jack White says, did anyone see the new casting announcements for the Netflix One Piece series? Still shocked they didn't race swap Nami. I have not. I did hear about it, but I don't know much about One Piece. I don't keep up with it, so sadly, I just didn't check into it today. But yeah, the casting is out there, kids, if you want to check that out. So sounds like Jack is impressed with it, so maybe you will be as well. Now Mr. Tickle Trunk says it's National Get Over It Day. Well, we already heard that one. Don't tell Twitter. Oh, okay, we won't. Infinite Wanderer says, just remembered the creator of Astra Arts, I'm probably saying that wrong still, or Astrades, that I don't know, has hired by a 40K company. The show moved to their website and changed the music and lighting, not on YouTube anymore, can still download in certain places. Okay, so what you're getting at is, yeah, okay, so they actually hired this individual to work on the actual thing. Well, that's cool. At least there's some companies still doing that, although I've heard some not so cool things lately about 40K, but yeah. I'm glad to hear they do that. And then Bryant Barth wants to know how come Paramount didn't buy Marvel back in 2009? Because they probably didn't think. Okay, here's my take on this. I don't know if Andre knows anything more than I do or has a different take on it, but I think A, they just didn't have the money, and B, they thought that after the Avengers, this thing was going to kind of run its course, and they didn't see the reason in spending the money on it, and Disney was going to give them more than they thought it was worth. Or more than Paramount thought it was worth paying for. What about you, Andre? What do you see? Because they had the deal up through the Avengers.
The way that I see it is that they didn't see any need to buy them outright. They already had a licensing deal, right? They had the deal up to the Avengers, and they took it completely for granted that following the Avengers, since this obviously had worked out, they were going to renew it for another phase. That's what Paramount was thinking. They literally saw no need to buy the studio. They can't go and buy every single company that they're working with. No, they have a funding agreement. They were locked down. Everything was awesome.
Actually, I think they got Iron Man 3
bought them and bought them out. They did not see that coming.
Actually, I think Iron Man 3 was the last one, but yeah.
Yes, Iron 3 was Mine 3 was the last one. The
But that was
first
the one right
movie to be
after Avengers, yeah.
completely 100% made by Disney was Thor: The Dark World. That was the first one that Paramount had nothing to do with. Disney took over distribution since the Avengers, but Paramount were still a stakeholder and got credit all the way up to Iron Man 3.
Yeah. And that kind of goes along with what I was just saying. I think they didn't really see the long-term deal in this. And at that point, the Avengers was a high, because you also got to remember the first few Avengers or first few Marvel movies didn't gross nearly as much as the latter ones did. Without inflation, they're all the lower grossing movies because they didn't make diddly until the Avengers, really, if you look at it in comparison to now. I mean, they were big then, but I mean, like Hulk and stuff like that didn't really do that well. In comparison, I mean, Iron Man did very well, but what that first one did, what, $200-300 million, I think it was, if that. And then I think Captain America did like closer to 200, but not quite as much. And then same thing with Thor, I think did even less than that. But it wasn't until Avengers where the money took off, and Avengers was the big one.
Yes.
And I don't think I think they were short-sighted.
Here's the thing, though, that when Avengers came, Disney had already made the deal.
Right.
Because Paramount, they were like laughing all the way to the bank when Disney came in and bought them out. And I think it's only after the Avengers that they realized, shit, yeah, okay, fine, we're earning a shit ton now and the next year. But we could have kept on earning on this for like decades to come, and now all of that money is going to go to Disney. But still, Paramount didn't lose anything. I mean, that deal that they had with Marvel, although it only lasted for a little while, that is one of the best deals that they ever had.
Yes, it was. So I hope that answers your question, Bryant. And then we got a couple of member chats and other super chats from before that I think I lost when I conked out there. We got Marks, who's also celebrating his year as a member. Marks 47. Thank you so much for being a member. We appreciate that. Then we got Darren Hughes, who's been a member for 4 months, and says, I've been worried about an Obi Wan Kenobi series because there are too many ways they can screw it up and too few ways they can get it right. Well, you're not wrong there. That's a big reason to be worried. Then Larry, who's been a member for 10 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much. The Master Clockwork, who's been a member for a year as well, says, I think it says a lot when my normie family that loved Mandalorian shook their heads at Book of Boba Fett and universally reacted with a what the hell was that reaction, huh? Well, thank you for that. And then let's see here. There was a couple from earlier. One from Aiken who said, spoiler alert, they don't find Obi-Wan or Luke. Well, we'll see. Of course, we know that's how it works out. And then Mech 1164 says, when I'm on the other shadier sides of the net looking for Ken entertainment, I make sure to have Surfshark. Well, there you go. Always stay protected. If you're doing things on the net you probably shouldn't be, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Then you might as well Surfshark it. That's what it's for.
Or in the very least, looking for pirated booty.
Yeah, which we do not condone, and Surfshark does not condone. But that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Indeed. And then JCM says, late, but have we thought about IPs for gaming, reacquisitions, STO plus MS, etc.? What's STO? MS. STO and MS. Star Trek Online, and what would MS be? Or am I way off? Help us in the chat here, kids.
MS, is that Microsoft?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Star Trek Online plus Microsoft, etc.
That could be what they mean. Is that what you mean, JCM? If Microsoft is interested, possibly. If Microsoft wants to get into the movie game, possibly. I have not heard their name come up much in this stuff. As far as acquiring IPs for gaming, is Star Trek really that big in gaming? I mean, I know it's got a few games, but I don't know if that's enough for them to really want to get into it. Like that, just one franchise is not going to be enough for them to want to get into it. I mean, if they already have a good relationship because of Halo, that could be an in. That could definitely be a situation where if they're happy with how that turns out, it could open up conversations between Microsoft and Paramount. That's one way of looking at it. And I'm sure there's other properties they could utilize, like Ninja Turtles and SpongeBob and Mission Impossible and stuff like that for video gaming. That's true. That's not a bad point, or at least a point of view to be looking at it from. And Microsoft does have the money to do it. But I've not really heard of them being a major player in this acquisition, but they could surprise us. I don't know. What do you think, Andre?
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I have not heard of them being that. I would be a little bit surprised if they did, because they are so successful in other venues that I'm not sure that this would be worth it for them. But we'll see. I mean, like the entertainment side, like this is closer to what Apple is doing in any event than it is Microsoft. So I would be surprised if they made a serious bid, but you never know what happens. We'll just have to wait and see.
I mean, if Apple were to turn around and just turn their nose up at Paramount and actually work out a deal and make, and end up buying Sony, then I could see Microsoft making a play for Paramount. Because I swear, by the end of this, none of these companies are going to be left standing. I mean, Sony might, but I doubt it. They're the only ones I see standing on their own, because they're the only ones who are making deals with like Netflix and all that kind of stuff, to where they seem to be having a future ahead of them, to where they don't seem to be shopping the entertainment company around like they were a couple of years ago. It seems like Rothman has really gotten shit together there. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting thing in the next few years. Rambam 3000 says, Owen's whole attitude to Kenobi should be, you're nothing but trouble for Luke. You stay the hell away from him. You hear me? Exactly. And I think this series, if it's done right, that should be pretty much the whole point of this series. That should be like the last conversation we see between Owen and Kenobi, is basically just stay the hell away from the kid. You're nothing but trouble. I don't know if you agree with that, Andre, but I think that's about where it has to be left off.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And putting him into some kind of jeopardy because he's there would make sense. Infinite Wanderer says, as Tartes. Okay, as Tartes. Thank you. You didn't have to send that in like that, but I appreciate you helping me out with the pronunciation. You can always just put it in the chat and at me too. I try to pay attention as much as possible. Just at Midnight's Edge, and we'll try to catch it. DCV Titan says, Astartes, short for Adeptus Astartes, are the Imperium of man's finest, the gods avenging angels, the space marines. All right. Well, sounds like some aliens.
They got uppity, sounds like. But
I got a potential spam call here. Should I answer it live? Nah, we'll let it go. Infinite Wanderer says, Astartes, creator hired by GW, not a good thing. Okay. His product has been ruined, and they've been threatened lawsuits against every fan film they work with. That's what I was going to say. I thought I heard bad things, but I thought you were going along with what we were talking about earlier. Sorry about that, Infinite Wanderer. I guess I should have went with my first instinct. But thank you for setting me straight. I appreciate that. And with that, I believe we're caught up, unless anybody thinks we missed anything with my hiccup. Please let me know if we did. I know Six has been doing her best to try and keep me up to date, and the rest of the mods have been also posting the member chats and stuff like that to keep us up to date. So unless you guys thought we have missed anything, please let me know. But Big Raj, he's a member for a year. I don't know if we mentioned that. Kitty Bear has been a member for 9 months. And Billy D has been a member for 12 months. And Big Raj, are you the one who sent me the package in the mail the other day? Let me know if that's you. Because I don't know if it was you or somebody else. It says Raj, I think it was Raj H or something it said on it. So let me know. I want to thank whoever it was who sent that to me. Let's see here. We got a couple other ones that looks like we may have missed. says from Dear On, who's been a member for 11 months, Hail Midnight's Edge, it would be my 12th month of membership as well if I did not get unsubbed and unmembered for no reason. Oh, interesting.
Oh my God, even a member.
I didn't know that part happened. That's interesting.
I've heard that this happened to Mike, the Mexican Iron Man producer.
Yes, it did.
Subscribed, and he was unsubscribed and removed from everything as well.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Andre, you should at YouTube with this on Twitter and say we have at least 2 people now who have said this has happened, and you have the screenshot of the member chat in the mod squad group there. I'd post it with it.
Yeah, probably should, especially given that they're like really purging right now.
Yes, and I would do that for just to kind of bring attention to it. Then Blue-Eyed Roof Korean the Base says, when a $5 super chat evolves into a half-hour discussion of de-evolving an IP, I know I'm right at home. Thanks for keeping me company while I work. Well, thank you, Blue-Eyed Roof Korean the Base. We love having you here. Billy D is also celebrating a year. I think I said that already. But after that, I think we are finally up to speed on everything. Dalbin has also been here for 6 months. Thank you so much. I got the one from Master Clockwork, so I think we are good.
Almost, at least.
Almost. What else we got now that I was off screen?
Yeah, because I think we got like 2 more super chats here. Give me 1 second. We have STR Red Wolf wanted. Is it time for Soggy marsupials? It is after these 2 remaining super chats, because the DCV Titan said, my hope for the Kenobi series is that, and I can't see the, yeah, here we go, is that it starts after he drops off Luke and then tries to live a mundane life, trying to avoid detection.
That's what it looks like from the trailer. At least it looks like it starts there, and then we'd probably jump forward a few years.
And Snell World want us to give a quick thought on Kenobi because he arrived late. I think it looks fine. Yeah,
it looks interesting. I'm pessimistically optimistic.
Yeah.
And the Master Clockwork sent us one earlier that we evidently missed. Rules of Acquisition 17. A contract is a contract is a contract, unless you're Disney. Yeah, that's pretty much true. So yeah, that was from about 20 minutes ago. Sorry about that, Master Clockwork. Must have slipped past us, but we got it now. Was there any other ones that anybody thinks we missed? Please let us know right away. Otherwise, I think Six has been doing a very good job of keeping me up to date. And the rest of the mods, like Mr. Tickle Trunk and Mags and Jordy and the rest of the crew, have all been doing it. And Tasha and everybody always doing their best to help us keep us up to date. Steven as well. Don't want to forget anybody in the mod chat doing their best to keep us posted on what we're missing, and all the member chats, because those of course don't come through on the StreamYard side of things, so we appreciate all the help. So
yeah, we have the best mods here, Jordy and everyone else. So yeah, keep up the great work. Six keeping us up to speed. Mag's now mod on both channels. So yeah. And everyone, go and check out Mag's new channel when content gets uploaded there. But we'll get back to that.
Heck yeah. And with that, I think it is time for Marsupials in the Rain, because it doesn't look like we missed any more. But yeah, here's one for Sander. What? And then we're going to get to the Marsupials. Where are they at? Where'd you go, you dirty buggers?
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given.